on the Black Channel. It is a prophet's hope to be wrong. It's his hope that he will not be accurate in what he has predicted. However, I've been talking about this now for weeks. It's happening now. The United States of America, at the behest of Israel and others, which is something else we're going to talk about here tonight, because you have to understand, you don't know how we got into this if you don't know everything. And practically nobody that I've seen talking about this, particularly folks who jump up in comment sections, don't let the low intellect, limited view people sit up here and fool you and not give you the whole story. And for the overwhelming majority of the population, they don't have the whole story here. First of all, let's begin with the obvious. There has been so much stated in recent months, years, about the Greater Israel Project to take over the Middle East. Far less has been spoken about what should be called the Greater America Project to basically take over the world in that regard. There's a lot that is occurring here. Some people are very, very short-sighted about these things, so what they're going to do is sit up here and tell you things like, well, this goes back to Mohammed Mossadegh and to Ayatollah Khomeini, that this goes to them. It goes far beyond that, and it goes long before that. And that's why what you're seeing now is not going to stop anything. For those of us who predicted so accurately last year, while the neocons, who everybody said were dead and gone, and now you realize the neocons who walked America into Iraq, while they're right here to walk America into Iran, the exact same people, no changes whatsoever, the exact same people who marched us into Iraq 25 years ago, why, what do you know, all of the usual suspects are right back again. All of them who have been hiding like the Sith in Star Wars, hiding now for decades, and when they thought they had an opening, well, we're back. You know, Iran's gonna have nuclear weapons. Oh, we gotta stop them, but hey, we ain't waiting for a vote this time, and we're not gonna bother to go through the UN. That didn't end very well for its for. That's just gonna remind people of what pathological, psychological, psychopathic liars we are. So, yeah. The same cast of characters, Benjamin Netanyahu, John Bolton, the ones who are still alive. The ones who are still alive, Colin Powell is no longer with us. Dick Cheney is no longer with us. But the ones who are still alive, what do you know? They've rinsed and repeated, picked up right back where they left off at. And so here we are again. I want to get into the historical context of these things, but before I get into the historical context of it here, I want to put it in some current context for you here. If you direct your eyeballs to the screens, we're going to be going through this kind of rapid fire here, so strap in and hang on tight. 48 seconds from Amar Ali Al-Niemi. 48 seconds. He's showing video here. 48 seconds. 11 Patriot missiles, each costing between $2 to $4 million each. And taking the lowest estimate, that means $22 million up in smoke in just 48 seconds. From the career base alone. You voted for this. America voted for this corrupt used car salesman that they call a president now. He promised all kinds of things there. Budgets under control, no more excess spending, and of course, the biggest lie of all, no new wars. Why, Barack Obama, he said. Donald Trump was the one who said that Obama wanted a war with Iran because he was in political trouble. Trump is in severe political trouble, looking at prison, and all of a sudden, here we go with a new war here. He promised all of his supporters there would be no new wars. He would be the president of peace. Now he's the president of pieces. The cast of characters gets long and ugly very, very quickly. They're showing folks getting bombed and blowing up. They're showing people by the Governor Ron DeSantis, of course, is doing important things. He's off getting cheesesteaks. Can you take this clown seriously? Hell no. Folks are reminding people about the words of Charlie Kirk. That Charlie Kirk, even white supremacist Charlie Kirk, was warning against starting a war, a regime change war in Iran. And this is why Candace Owens and others believe that Israel took him out. They believe that Israel took him out because they had funded him, and then he began speaking directly against the entire point that they were funding him. They were funding him because there are not enough people in the Israeli population of the Jewish population to be able to wage such a war. You're going to need a whole lot more people. So if you can co-opt the Gentiles, if you can get the Gentiles to your cause, but how are you going to do that? Well, tell them God told you to. And that was Charlie Kirk's task. That was his job, was to recruit all the Gentiles to ultimately come and provide backup. And when it became clear that he was no longer reliable in that regard, they believe this is why Israel took him out. Dancing with the devil. Dancing with the devil. By the way, Ray Lewis, another shame here. He's talking about something totally different, but yeah, he's worried about social media. Well, John Bolton, of course, the usual suspects laughing it up there. There were folks who were talking about this. Kamala Harris, of course, has weighed in that she is against this, which is totally not true. Totally not true. Kamala Harris did not oppose anything. Neither did Joe Biden. When Israel was committing the genocide in Gaza, Kamala Harris was conspicuously quiet, so do not believe her. Remember, she also said she believed the women who said Joe Biden groped them, and then, yeah. So Kamala Harris, of course, not even a competent liar. And it just begins. TMZ. Hello, Harvey Levin. TMZ started by, who was that? Harvey Levin and Steven Spielberg, I think. I want to say Steven Spielberg has something to do with starting TMZ. So, of course, all of a sudden, Harvey Levin and the good Zionists over there, they love Iranians, or just certain Iranians. You have to be the right kind there, of course. So. Yes, and of course, Michael Knowles, who works for the Zionist Wire, Daily Wire, Daily Zionist. Laura Loomer, fresh off her prescription meds. By that, I mean avoiding her prescription meds. Fresh off of avoiding her prescription meds regimen. There are folks out there who are playing around. Thomas Massey is not. He said, I'm opposed to this war. This is not America first. When Congress reconvenes, I'll work with Representative Ro to force a congressional vote on war with Iran. The Constitution requires a vote. For those of you who did not know, presidents cannot unilaterally declare war. The Constitution clearly says war powers sit with Congress, just like the power of the budget sits with Congress. You do not have three co-equal branches. Let me dissuade you of that complete fallacy that you've heard for those of you in the Instagram, TikTok generation. That's a lie. The Constitution does not have three, quote, co-branches. That is a lie, false, ignorance. The Congress is the super heavy in the equation. When the founders set up the American Republic, it was so that Congress, the representatives of the people, would have the most weight. They're the ones who make the laws. They're the ones who make the budget. They're the ones who can declare war in the hopes that it will be the will. If this does happen, it's the will of the people. The Supreme Court does not have equal weight to Congress. Neither does the president. So you do not have three co-equal branches. You have checks and balances, not three equals. But the problem is that the United States Congress abdicated its authority to restrict the president decades ago. I would like to tell you that this began with Richard Nixon, but that would be a lie. Because in reality, you've had so-called police actions. If you'll all remember, you call it the Vietnam War, but that was actually a protest label that was created by the American news media and academics. The United States government did not refer to the Vietnam War as a war. They called it the Vietnam conflict. The original reason for going in was a police action. They had all kinds of colorful terms, but the United States government never acknowledged Vietnam as a war because it couldn't be. So for those of you who have never had these things taught to you, by the way, and the internet's going to do nothing but lie to you and otherwise, this is what they're doing. This is what they're doing. These are important things to remember because you're going to have a lot of disinformation given to you here, particularly for those of you who even have the ability to recognize it. That'll be the crazy part of it, to even have the ability to recognize it. I want you all to pay attention to this. And by the way, I would admonish people not to get off topic here tonight because there will be very little tolerance for it. This is a serious moment. If you want to goof off, you can go listen to Alex Jones or somebody else. The adults are over here. The United States government does not have three co-equal branches. So you're going to have relatively few people sticking up for it, though, because the United States Congress abdicated its authority decades ago and has allowed practically every single president since, Richard Nixon in particular, though it did start happening in smaller ways before him, but every president since Nixon, they have basically allowed him to go off and do all kinds of things he has no authority to do under alleged war powers when the Constitution clearly says what he cannot do. You have a criminalized, gangsterized government. That the same Republicans who talk about being constitutional fundamentalists, constitutional constructionists, and then ignore the Constitution in the very next sentence. You got folks here quoting Nick Fuentes. This just shows you how morally bankrupt this era is. Boy, this is the most disgusting timeline. He says this has nothing to do with nuclear weapons, terrorism, or dead protesters. For decades, Israel has openly persuaded an agenda to topple Iraq, Syria, and Iran. It's not just Iraq, Syria, and Iran, stupid. They orchestrated all these wars in the Middle East to eliminate their rivals and gain total hegemony over the Middle East. We'll come back to that because he doesn't know anything. Here's Dan Bongino, who sacrificed all of his credibility years ago and then put the nails in the coffin in recent days. Ridiculous. By the way, Twitter is overrun with Israeli bot accounts, Zionist bot accounts, Zionist activists. So Elon Musk, the check must have cleared for him because Twitter is basically, the algorithm is just showing you nothing but pro-Israel, pro-Zionist stuff here, activists, bots, the whole 9 yards. And even with that, they still are not keeping up. Alex Jones, who just a little while ago here was supporting Trump and defending everything evil there. Oh, boys, Alex Jones, who all of a sudden did not like the New World Order right up until he did love the New World Order and adores the New World Order. And now that he actually has to stand on something, all of a sudden, Trump might be wrong here. It might be an issue. Yeah. This is what happens when your psychos take over. This is what happens when the psychos take over. Mike Pompeo, Another one of the usual suspects from Iraq. Those of you who may be too young, because at this point you all realize that was a quarter of a century ago. I've got a bunch of people in here who were either in elementary school or weren't even born when 9/11 happened. Mike Pompeo, go look him up. One of the other establishment Hollywood usual suspects who walked us into Iraq. For those of us old enough to remember, he was one of them who proudly at the State Department, who proudly marched us into Iraq. And what do you know? A quarter of a century later, here's Mike Pompeo back all over again. Never got elected to office, never had to run a ticket, never had to get anybody to actually cast a vote for him. No, he's one of these bureaucrats in Washington who work behind the scenes with their so-called establishment institutional knowledge. And this is what they do. A quarter of a century later, he's back. And what do you know? War now, war forever. Because if you're good, first you have to make an empire, then you have to hold it. Who cares if it's injustice? That goes with the territory. There are a few people speaking against it. There are a few people who have. They will ultimately end up being in the right because a number of these people supported the war in Iraq the first time. Ain't that right, Tucker Carlson? Tucker Carlson, who after he got kicked out of Fox and had to stand on his own in media on the internet, all of a sudden spun around. Well, yeah, when he was no longer getting caked off by the Murdochs. Then all of a sudden they found rationality and found some honesty and some morality all of a sudden. Interesting how that happens. So he's now on the right side of this particular chapter of history, even if he wasn't on the right side of the previous one. By the way, in the chat room, if anybody asks any questions about that, they can call up on Zoom and ask their questions directly. You will not be allowed to ask any questions in the chat room, so my mods will be banning you if you try. By the way, there are some very butthurt MAGA morons who are very unhappy to see thousands of people doing a live stream and realize, yes, you're not going to do what you did in 2000 and 2001. No one's backing you now. Everyone is condemning it out the gate now. Yeah, the bots and the agents and the fossils of the Fox News crowd and the MAGA morons. Yes, you're very angry to see this because you were hoping that you could flood the zone and we would have a repeat of 2001 and maybe you wouldn't be the asses you were before. And no, just right out the gate, you're already getting broken in half right out the gate. So just understand, if you try to play the game of, well, I've got some questions to ask, you can call up on Zoom and ask your questions directly. If you ask them in the chat room, we'll just ban you. That's all. No, you lose this one right out of the gate. It's not going to be waiting 5 or 6 years until America has suffered enough. You lose this one right out the gate. This one blows up in your face right off the rip. You're not going to get anywhere now. So you do what you do best. Be angry and troll and cry harder. Do that one. The time wasting troll thing, however, that one won't work out for you. Either that or you better get a whole lot more fake accounts. Oh, look, the Hodge twins. Take a look at the Hodge twins. I guess they finally decided to stop being wrong about every damn thing. They got a bunch of folk upset with them. Kim Iverson, sometimes right, sometimes not so much, but she did acknowledge here this app, Twitter, is now useless. It's flooded with IDF-controlled bots trying to shift the narrative. Yeah, that was their war preparation. Here you have Benjamin Netanyahu and Ian Carroll. He's got plenty of time here now. Before you cheer on Israel's war, remember that their actual war is with you. There is Benjamin Netanyahu. Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been selling America on this lie now for 4 decades. He has spent the entirety of the last 4 decades, and every year he comes back and tells you, Iran got a nuclear weapon. In 6 months, they're going to have a nuclear weapon. Iran, according to Benjamin Netanyahu, Iran has been 6 months away from a nuclear weapon since 1985. Iran has been 6 months away from a nuclear weapon since 1985. Since 85, he's been telling us in 6 more months. He's going to be just 6 more months now. 6 more months. 6 more months is going to happen. Every year, they're 6 months away. It's like, dude, 40 years of 6 months? What is this? Yes, the United States government has been completely captured by the nation of Israel and their interests. The nation of Israel controls America's foreign policy. It controls its president. It controls most of its Congress and Senate. This has been a project they've been embarked on now for decades, and it's come to fruition. They have completely captured the nation of the United States government, and now we are the client state to Israel. America is not Israel's sponsor, and Israel is the client state. Israel is the sponsor state, and America is now the client state of Israel doing Israel's bidding. And you will fight and kill and die and go into horrendous amounts of debt for them. And that's your purpose. From Curious Joel in upstate New York to Florida, to Washington, now to Venezuela. We'll come back to that, folks. A lot of dots to connect, and we will be connecting them. Oh, take a look at old Marco Rubio here, who has made the ultimate deal with the devil. I'm not saying that he's actually, dressed up like that. AI is a interesting thing. I will tell you one thing. I said here weeks ago, and a lot of folks were not believing me or saying, Jason, that's the bridge too far. They would never do anything this big. It would be too blatant. It would be too horrendous. It would be too much of a shock to the system. And I told you all, after they invaded Venezuela, I said, that's it. Iran and Cuba are now officially on the menu. I said it and I called it then that it's no longer conjecture or speculation. And I was trying to figure out what it was that they were offering that was so valuable to Marco Rubio that he would sacrifice his ability to run for president himself. And after the invasion of Venezuela, it all became clear. They promised him Cuba. So he's willing to knock off Venezuela and Iran and anything else. You have all these people attempting to turn back the 20th century. Everything that happened in the 20th century of consequence, they have all colluded together now to attempt to reverse it. Venezuela under Hugo Chavez. The Iran under Ayatollah Khomeini. Cuba under Fidel Castro. And now we are going to undo it all. They had to wait till Castro was safely dead. But once he was, they've been going to work at it. Now they've just decided, screw it all, bum rush the door, let the world burn. But we are going to undo the 20th century. And this was the slice of the pie that they offered Marco Rubio. You help the Israelis take over the Middle East. And then last but not least, because Cuba's going to be the one that's most dangerous politically because it's the closest in proximity to the U.S. It's the one that will go down the least popular. A bunch of people's political careers will be over. They're saving that one for last. But it's on the menu. It's on the menu. Don't be deceived. It's on the menu. By the way, to all the white supremacist MAGA moron trolls, welcome. Welcome to the haven of intelligent black thought, and unfortunately for you, unapologetic truth. It burns you. It burns your psyche. It burns your soul into pieces. It should. By the way, it should. They're very, very angry about those things, and yes, we intend to keep you there. We intend to keep you there. Scott Jennings, of course, doing what he does. There have been reports that the Supreme Leader, Ali Khamenei, he was first, when they did their strikes and whatnot, Israel immediately went to decapitate the leadership. They went to decapitate the leadership. That became their goal. Their goal was to decapitate the leadership, and that was apparently what they did. So a lot of the senior leadership in Iran has been, we believe, has been killed. We don't have definitive confirmation of this yet. However, what they are saying here is that they believe they got Khomeini, among others. They believe they got Khomeini, among others. So, there's that. So much for not going after heads of state. I guess that means that you only go after heads of state who don't have nuclear weapons. I guess that's the rule here. So if you want to, I've been saying this for decades, if you want to stare America down, you have to have nuclear weapons. Just ask North Korea. They talk crap to North Korea. Ain't nobody trying to invade them. No one. No one. Matt Walsh, who was talking garbage before, but as you can see, now that the rubber has met the road, Matt Walsh got a whole different mindset now, doesn't he? Oh man. Matt Walsh has a whole different personality about this now that he's going to have to stand on it because he remembers the Iraq War. And now that he sees, oh, they're really going forward with it, some of his Daily Wire moron friends of his, and Matt's like, wait a minute, I didn't ask for this now. Wait a minute, I'm not sure if this serves America's interest now, huh? I don't know about this. So, yeah, he's hedging his bets now, isn't he? Yes, he's hedging his bets now, isn't he? Oh, boy. Oh, man. CNN has video. Michael Knowles, of course, being a moron. Senator John Fetterman. Who has said multiple times, I support America and I support Israel. So, Operation Epic Fury, I think you meant Operation Epstein Fury, didn't you, Senator Fetterman? What? You want to talk about whacked out people in Congress? You want to talk about whacked out people in the American government? This is a man who has had at least one, possibly two strokes, two debilitating strokes, and he is still the representative of Pennsylvania in the Senate. A man who had to literally be helped by the moderators during a debate and teleprompters because he still can't read. And we're supposed to take his word for it that these are good ideas from a man who literally can't read anymore. But he can mouth the same words all over again. So the Israeli lobby, I would like to tell you that they captured him, but in order to capture somebody, they usually have to be running around fast enough to get away. Senator Fetterman is so infirmed now, that's not even necessary. Here you have the CBS News here. So now that the Ellisons, the Zionist movement, said that we're going to need a lot of money. I said this weeks ago when you all were asked, when folks were trying to figure these things out because nobody has actually said the words that I'm saying. Why do all these people, why is it they have a relentless, insatiable appetite for the acquisition of wealth? I mean, they're millionaires, then they became billionaires, then hundreds of billionaires. Now they want to be trillionaires. Wait a minute. What do you need all that for, man? You've got 10 of everything you ever wanted. Mega yachts, mansions, bastard babies, hoes in different zip codes and time zones. Why do you need all this money? You need that if you're going to purchase a nation. And they have spent the better part of their lives, from Bill Ackman to the Ellisons to the Adelsons, and we can go down the list, the Epsteins. Yes, you're going to need if you're going to buy the Middle East, if you're going to take over the United States government, you're going to need hundreds of billions of dollars. And if you're going to drag the American public along with you to manufacture consent, you're going to need hundreds of billions of dollars more. And so the Zionists have become multi-billionaires, and since they've lost the public relations war, they've decided to buy the government and then outlaw dissent. We'll manufacture consent by outlawing dissent. So we'll purchase TikTok because they see TikTok is what turned people against the genocide in Gaza, particularly among young people. If you've lost the young, then that means your future is already a fait accompli. You've already lost everything because when they come of age, they will already be against you. There's no pastor in church to tell them it doesn't matter what you think. Just pay attention to my interpretation of the Bible. That TikTok circumvented that. So they got together with the American government, came up with a lie. Oh, the Chinese government controls TikTok. And what do you got now? The Israeli government controls TikTok. I thought the issue was a foreign government controlling it. No, the Israelis wanted to have control of TikTok. Benjamin Netanyahu literally said TikTok was the problem. We need to get control of TikTok. They're not even lying. They're not even hiding it anymore. People, they're literally coming out and openly saying these are our targets. They went and bought CBS News. Now, a lot of you say to yourselves, well, CBS News is the old broadcast media. A bunch of people have this wrong. Breaking Points has this wrong. I need to give you all the insight and analysis you'll get nowhere else. They have it wrong. They don't know what it's really about. Let me explain to you what it's for. The Ellisons bought CBS, and now they've turned right around, and now they want to buy Warner Brothers, and it looks like since Netflix has dropped out of the running to buy Warner Brothers CNN, now the Ellisons it looks like they're going to acquire that one. Never mind monopoly, just never mind this being a monopoly altogether. But why? Why do they want these old, dilapidated broadcast media outlets? Why, Jason, it doesn't matter. I listen to all the folks on YouTube tell me, all the so-called newscasters on YouTube tell me that it doesn't matter if they buy CBS and the old broadcast news outlets. Who cares? Everybody gets their news online anyway. Wrong. You see, you can have YouTubers who talk about things, but please understand the investigative journalism is expensive. The old broadcast legacy media outlets, they're the only ones who have an infrastructure. Remember, most of us are sharing links from CNN or ABC or whatever. So the old broadcast media outlets, they're the ones who have reporters on the payroll, investigative journalists on the payrolls, sources on the payroll, operatives and newscasters and journalists on the ground. They're the only ones who have that infrastructure. So while you don't rely on them as much as you used to, they're the only ones who actually have the infrastructure in place to gather and compile news and have sources in Washington and to get interviews. They're the only ones who they still have that. Your favorite YouTuber, including myself, we don't have that. So we still rely on them for a lot of the information. Yes, news breaks online, but we still rely on these legacy media outlets to a large extent for information. And they're playing the long game. Yeah, they're very blatant and open about it now, and they're totally discredited now, but Ellison's sitting on hundreds of billions of dollars in value, even if it's not real. They're looking 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, that they have a source they're a source of information, and thus they have a voice in the room. And they're waiting and hoping to drip, 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 drip to contaminate one drip at a time over the course of years and decades, not weeks or months. So a lot of the information that we're still going to be discussing is going to be coming from them. That's what they want control of CNN and CBS for, because those are your investigative journalists who break investigative news, who get into documents and things. That's the infrastructure. This was ironic, wasn't it? From ABC News. Trump says Khomeini, one of the most evil people in history, is dead, coming from you. By the way, that black glove on there trying to hide whatever condition you got going on, but okay. One of the most evil people in history, and you should know, Donald Trump. You're an authority on that. Here's Bill Ackman. A whole bunch of these individuals have been laying in wait, these sleeper cells who went out and made a whole bunch of money. What did they want the money for? What did they want the money for? Why did they want it? Why do they want that? What do they want it for? What do they want that for? Bill Ackman, who we thought all he was one of these Wall Street traders, and they're all over the damn place. They got into the monetary system and the banking system because that was the quickest way to multiply wealth. And then one day when there were enough of them with a critical mass, they all moved in unison. Bill Ackman attacks academia, sues people all over the place. The Adelsons paid the bill to get Donald Trump into the White House. Now you own a president. Then come the rest of the market makers to go buy up every member of Congress they can get their mitts on. And now you've turned over the media and the internet to the rest of them. There's Ted Cruz, a proud, brainless Zionist, who admitted that his purpose for getting into office is not the people of Texas, it's the government of Israel, not even the people of Israel, the government of Israel. That was all. By the way, this is a very good picture of you here, Mr. Trump. It makes you look as villainous and malevolent and as sinister as you really are. So I'm very glad you chose this picture from the official White House Twitter account, because this picture makes you look as demonic and villainous and as evil as you really are. Here's a picture of the Sith, or Sauron from Lord of the Rings if I ever saw it. He looks as malevolent and evil as he could possibly be. Marjorie Taylor Greene has something to say here. Great job, Mr. President. Great job. You're a billionaire, and the American people, not the Iranian people who voted for you, are not billionaires. As a matter of fact, many of them are flat out broke in all-time high credit card debt, can't afford health insurance or car insurance for that matter, and most young people can't afford to buy a house or even their rent payment. Your generation, the baby boomers. Damn! Oh boy, Marjorie Taylor Greene is swinging for the fences now. If she wasn't a white supremacist, she would actually be able to lead something. But she's too stupid and slow to be able to get that off the ground herself. But Marjorie, if you weren't a white supremacist, you would actually be a much bigger, more valid voice. Just thought you ought to know. Your generation, the baby boomers, your families were able to thrive on single incomes, and now that's practically impossible for the vast majority of American families. Let alone imagine being a single mother. Most of your baby boomer friends and supporters, I'm sure, are cheering you the most. But as younger generations, Gen X, mine, okay, Marjorie, just ease back now. All right. Millennials, and especially Gen Z, hate this stuff, because we all know that in 10 years, when the baby boomers that have been in charge of all of America's disastrous decisions are retired or passed away, us younger generations will be left with no social security checks because it will have gone bankrupt, over $50 trillion in debt, and a dollar that won't be worth slatesing. We, as in you and me, campaigned on America first, and this is not it. Marjorie, this would have been nice a long time ago here. Speaking of waking up the blonde devil, here comes Ann Coulter. The U.S. has been slapping around Iran for a decade. They did nothing after Trump killed Qasem Soleimani, a revered figure in Iran and Iraq. They did nothing after Trump, quote, completely and totally obliterated Iran's nuclear sites last year. But now we're supposed to believe Iran is the biggest, baddest monster in the world, and you supported this. You supported this. You supported this. This fishback dude here, by the way, I guess it's in my best interest to play this before I go any further.
American, though?
Yeah.
What are descendants of slaves really American, though?
Yeah.
What makes them American? Because they've been here.
They've been here, and they've fought in every single war since our country's founding. So yeah, I think people who shed blood, who fought for the soil of our land, regardless of the color of their skin, are more American than people who got here 2 years ago.
Most of that blood has been white blood.
Sure, that doesn't change the fact that the individual who lost...
Okay, the majority of people in the American military are black, by the way. The majority of people who fought America's wars over the last 50 years, military recruiters set up in black neighborhoods. So white supremacists are idiots, they're morons, they're jackasses, they're liars. So never mind that. But the military has always disproportionately recruited black folk. Yeah, you go take a look on any army base. You go take a look at any MEPS center. For my folks in the military, you know what MEPS is. For anybody, you go take a look at any boot camp class. Yeah, that's going to be black folk. And that's the way it has always been. Especially after World War II. You don't have an American military without black people. Everything from the Vietnam War forward was fought on black people's backs. Yes, sir, it really was. White supremacists are liars by nature. I just wanted to stop long enough to show you that's what he said in response. So this is what happens when you let idiots into the damn room, and if you got white supremacists in there, trust me, it's just going to all be idiocy. Oh, there's Lindsey Graham. There's Lindsey Graham. Once again, the neocons back again, the same old group. They learned nothing from Iraq. They're right back again to cheer on more carnage and idiocy here. Yeah, after they lost the Iraq war, they got quiet for a little bit, and those who survived have been laying in wait until the day they came back. So Raheem Shabazz was talking about this here. So like I say, H. Rap Brown, definitely, if you don't remember that, you need to go ahead and look into it there. You definitely need to look into that. Good for us to have a reminder. It's good for us to have a reminder about that, because that's very, very important. Good for us to have a reminder about that. Now, there's not some folks that got slow news, and I do understand that. I'm just saying, some folks got slow news. I understand that. Some of them do, but it's good for you all. It's good for us to remember. Even if folks got slow news, it's good for us to remember. All right, here's Bill the Bigot O'Reilly. Looks like reaction to Iran strike is a partisan play with few exceptions, like Senator John Fetterman's. John Fetterman's partisan as they get. Anti-Trump people condemning it, pro-Trump justifying. The evil mullahs deserve to be overthrown, certainly. The American people don't deserve hate-driven analysis. So Bill O'Reilly, another one of these slackers and con men who walked America into Iraq, has absolutely learned nothing. So Al Jazeera is claiming that they did kill Khomeini. So this was the plan all along. There was never any negotiation. There was never anything like that. This was the plan from the beginning. Zoran Mamdani, like I say, before he raises all y'all's taxes in New York, like I say, yet another politician. I could keep going here, but I think you all get the point. I could keep going, but I think you get the point here. Oh, good for to have a reminder. Marjorie Taylor Greene wants to remind us all. The GOP told us vote for the pro-peace ticket. That aged well, didn't it? That aged well, didn't it? I could keep going here, folks. I could keep going. I'm not going to do that, though. I am going to show you a couple other things here, because there are some other folks out there who are, I believe, are hoping that they can get enough support for another run in politics in the future. Eric Adams, who apparently either is trying his best Trump impersonation or he thinks to himself he's going to have a political future. Spoiler alert, you won't. For decades, the Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khomeini's regime governed through violence and intimidation. And the American government is different. How, Mr. Adams? Thousands of innocent lives were lost, including Americans targeted and killed by forces backed by his regime. The record is written in blood, and it will define his legacy. So, yeah. Eric Adams, I guess he's hoping that the Ellisons or Bill Ackman or somebody there got a check for him. I guess he's hoping they got a check for him. Hey, y'all, if I keep towing the line, is there a bag? Is there a leftover bag? So that's happening. Let me explain to you all about this part here, though. Let's talk about how this occurred, not the why. I want to talk about the how that it occurred. I want to talk about that, because that's the part that is really missing here. You want to know how this occurred? Of course, first and foremost, the American government has been completely subverted by foreign interests. That's the first thing that's happened. It does not have an American agenda. Everyone is using it for their own agenda. I told you all decades ago that the world's largest mercenary army is not Blackwater. Blackwater is not the world's largest mercenary army. The United States military is the world's largest mercenary army. And it is owned by a number of different interests. In order to keep the money coming in and keep dominance right where it is, the boot must remain on your neck. The American military belongs to a number of individuals, but remember, there are unintended consequences, and there will be other people who will find out what these unintended consequences are soon enough because they don't take the situation seriously. Then again, how could they? The Middle East has been cursed. The Middle East has been cursed now for a long time with short-sighted, myopic, and in some cases willfully blind leadership. The Middle East has been plagued by this. You want to know why it is that after the Middle East witnessed what happened in Iraq, they have all sat back with their hands folded, as the United States and Israel have repeated this behavior again in Iran? Well, that's because divide and conquer is a very real thing, and it works in many places in different ways, but it gets the same goal. Remember, in Iraq, you had a country that was divided among the Sunni Muslims and the Shia Muslims, and they used that to their advantage. With Iran, Iran has enemies in Israel. Yes, they do. Unfortunately for Iran, they also have enemies in Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates and wherever the Sunni Muslims are, because Iran is Shia. Iran is technically not an Arab country. Technically, it is a Persian They're a bunch of Persians. They are technically not Arabs. Ethnic differences, don't you know? And this will be the road to hell. It are your ethnic differences and the people who sit up here and try to capitalize on them. So you have a Persian country with Arabs in it, but the real issue is not that they are so much that they are Persian. The real issue is that they are Shia. You're the wrong religion. And there's been an ongoing beef between Iran and particularly Saudi Arabia. And they have been at each other's throats now for decades, literally. And do not mistake the hidden hand of Saudi Arabia behind this. They have not uttered a word. No one has come to Iran's defense. No one's tried to really help out in any substantive way because they've all been wanting to knock off Iran now for decades. So Israel has never been afraid to move against Iran because they know that unlike back in the Six-Day War, there won't be another Six-Day War. We go after Iran because the Arabs hate Iran, the Persians in Iran as much as we do. As a matter of fact, they're hoping we go in so that they don't have to start a war with Iran. Yeah, why don't you send Israel and America in, let them do the dirty work. We just sit back and say, hey, we didn't know y'all was going to do all that. Man, look here, we could have talked this over. We was trying to have peace talks. You know, when we tried to help the Israelis kill them the first time with those cruise missiles, remember? Yeah, remember the first time we tried to do that? Damn it, we missed them. Okay. One more again. So please do not mistake or misunderstand that the Arab world in the Middle East stood back silently because they saw this as a way of eliminating one of their rivals. The problem is they're outrageously short-sighted. Benjamin Netanyahu gave a speech last year talking directly to the Saudis, talking about the good old days of friendship and camaraderie between the Israelis and the Saudis and their quote unquote historical connections. Only a lambasted fool would fall for something like that. And unfortunately in Saudi Arabia, apparently they have a wealth of oil and fools in leadership. Israel does not want any power in the Middle East except their own. And in case nobody noticed, and clearly the Saudis didn't, they have been on a campaign for the last 4 decades now, systematically to knock off every other government in that region and to leave them a disorganized, chaotic landscape. They knocked off Iraq, Lebanon, Libya, Egypt, Syria, Oman, and now Iran. All of their closest neighbors there, we're going to knock all of them off, and now the campaign to knock them off has now accelerated in the last 10 years. In the last 10, 15 years, this campaign to knock off the neighboring governments has accelerated. And yes, this brings us to the Greater Israel Project, which is essentially dominance of the entire Middle East. The Greater Israel Project is not about the Golan Heights or the Gaza Strip. The Greater Israel Project is about the entire Middle East. This includes Iraq, Iran, Syria, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the so-called United Arab Emirates. This includes all of them. They are playing an outrageously dangerous game right now, predicated upon the assumption that the Saudis are sitting on oil and that America will continue to respect and honor Saudi Arabia's sovereignty, and that America will not simply gin up an excuse to invade or overthrow the Saudi family the way they ginned up an excuse to overthrow every damn body else. That's what Saudi Arabia is gambling on right now. Well, yeah, we're part of the OPEC cartel, and y'all did just knock off Venezuela. Well, yeah, they're going to continue to respect our sovereignty, even if you do things they don't like, even if they think that it would be better for Israel to be running you. You think that America, if you get into come at odds with Israel, do you think that America's going to back Saudi Arabia, or do you think America's going to back Israel? And these short-sighted, non-calculating people there in Saudi Arabia have made the calculus that, well, don't worry, we understand Israel. We'll keep it. It'll be copacetic. It'll be good. We got this. We got this. That's what it is. The Middle East has sat back because tribalism is a weapon that has been used by these other people. They understand the value of fomenting tribalism among the folk that they want to divide and conquer. We started the delineation movement because the individuals who still subscribe to tribalism are a cancer, and it is better that we simply remove them from the tribe altogether than to continue pretending that they are somehow confused comrades. No, they're not. Iran should have scrambled for a nuclear weapon decades ago. If they had, this wouldn't have happened today. They were coming for you. They've been coming for you. They were not going to stop this. And if Iran had done what North Korea did and scrambled for a nuclear weapon decades ago, they would not be where they are tonight. However, furthermore, if Iran had had better relations with its Arab neighbors, if Iran had had better relations with its Arab neighbors and understood that when you've got your head in the lion's mouth, you don't just yank it out, you ease it out. You have no friends in the region. They are all hostile against you. I don't know if you've actually been sending terrorists over to their countries or not. I do know that they got it in for you. You can't afford to have everybody against you. You cannot afford to be in a place like the Middle East and you don't have any allies ready to ride for you. Everybody who's there got a grudge against you and an axe to grind against you. And instead of you spending decades mending those fences and getting some friends on your side and getting some other folk in your camp, Iran decided to go it alone. They didn't reach out to anyone. They haven't actually tried to make any alliances. They haven't actually tried to do that. They've kind of just wanted to do their own thing. I guess they told themselves, well, we're big enough and broad enough and difficult enough, and we're way bigger than Iraq was, and we got way more people, so ain't nobody really gonna try to fool with us like that. And that's not the way it's going. In the chat room, Mrs. Say It's Real. You're wondering if China and Russia is going to jump in. The short answer is yes. What? But it's going to be like Afghanistan. Depending on whether or not they can actually get anything to Iran, because I imagine the United States is going to do their best to make sure you can't smuggle any weapons into them. But as far as hypersonic missiles, Iran has had a few. But if Russia or China begins definitively arming Iran, we'd have to determine if that's in their interest to do so and whether or not they actually even can. Russia's got a big issue to deal with in Ukraine right now. So while they might aspire to do so, logistically, can they actually pull it off? It's questionable. Iran is absolutely going to close the Strait of Hormuz. They're going to do that. So with that being the case, when the stock market opens up Monday.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
When the stock market opens up Monday, oh boy, can y'all imagine what that's going to be like? When the stock market opens up Monday, when the real stuff comes down, when they actually open up the stock market and folks start trying to predict and let you know what they really think is going to be happening, oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah, y'all, this is the easy part on a random Saturday night. This is the easy part. Now let me explain to you all what comes next here. Let me explain to you all what comes next. I have to have a refresher here. I have to have a refresher for those of you who do not remember how the Iraq War went. I was there, alive at the time. I saw all the platitudes that we were given. I saw all the bluster and all the promises that were made during the George W. Bush and Dick Cheney administration. I remember so succinctly when they said that the war will be quick and painless. We will be greeted as liberators. Why, those Iraqis, they want us there. Why, we're going to be liberating them from the oppressive regime. Sound familiar? Yes, the exact same cliches and slogans that the Daily White Supremacist Wire and Fox Phony News is giving today. They said these exact same words 25 years ago in Iraq. Why, the people are celebrating. Let me show y'all on your screens here. This is in Georgia, in Atlanta. They're saying USA while they're waving around Iranian flags. Folks got Iranian flags out there talking about USA in Atlanta. Yeah, so much for Black City there. So much for that. So much for Black Mecca. Yeah, you got to figure that there's a bunch of government operatives in there. You figure there's got to be a bunch of Israeli operatives in there. So absolutely, you can't discount that. You know, this is propaganda. This is hardly throngs of people. This is hardly the thousands of people in the streets marching. It's hardly that. But the real point is, do you see how serious they are about that? Folks, for those of us who remember all the slogans we were given after mission accomplished, remember they told us that America would be greeted as liberators. Remember they told us that it would be quick and painless, that they couldn't wait to embrace liberal democracy and a democratic government. Remember they said all that. Remember? And then do you remember what happened next? For those of us who were there, the actual war, the physical invasion in Iraq, well, that actually went relatively quickly. I mean, that was just a matter of weeks. That wasn't something that took years to happen. America was able to go in, topple the government, knock off folk here, topple the statues. Well, that happened relatively briefly. This wasn't some long, drawn-out World War II conflict. Not the invasion part, anyway. That wasn't the hard part. The hard part was after you, quote-unquote, won. America spent years fighting the insurgency. They let you take their cities, and then they waged guerrilla warfare on you after that. For years. And America sent in its best equipment. America sent in its best artillery. America sent in its best stuff. It sent in everything it could. In the chat room, I'm going to have somebody here give me a call up here in a little bit. Some folk here, by the way, I'll be just kicking them out here later after we make sure that they get their heads on straight about stuff here. They said that everything was going to be a cakewalk, and it was right up until we tried to occupy the country. And then they started bleeding you one soldier at a time. They started bleeding America one soldier at a time, and that was when Iran allegedly was sending in IEDs, and you had a never-ending stream of mujahideen and rebels all over the place. They were smart, they were sophisticated, they were ingenious, and their goal was to catch the American troops slipping anywhere and everywhere you could. And they did. And they turned Iraq into a quagmire. Yeah, you killed the leader. Sound familiar? Yeah, they killed the leader in Iraq too. They killed Saddam Hussein. And that prevented what from happening? Tell me anything that prevented from occurring. By the time it was over, every single politician who had sat up here and bragged and walked America into it was doing everything they possibly could to distance themselves from it. So for those of you who are new to this particular bait and switch by the imperialist powers, for those of you who are too young to remember how events actually unfolded, what they're doing right now, swinging in cruise missiles and jet planes, trying to minimize casualties. Folks, you cannot conquer a nation from the air. This is what they don't tell you. You can't have regime change from the air. At some point, you're going to have to put troops on the ground. You have to. When we went into Iraq, they told us wasn't going to be a bunch of American troops on the ground. What happened? A bunch of American troops on the ground. Yeah, because you can't occupy a nation, nor can you make sure that you've eliminated the previous regime until you send people in to go verify on the ground what's happening. You can't do that from 30,000 feet in the air. At some point, you will have to put boots on the ground to go in house to house and verify that you've cleaned the place up. Now, they're not going to say any of this to you now. For those of you who are new to this and never experienced it before, this is all the lying that they did the first time around. They're not going to be honest about what's actually going to be required, and they will not be honest about what they're actually going to do. They're going to swear up and down that these things will not be necessary. Don't worry, we'll win the war with jet planes and cruise missiles. You know, those cruise missiles that cost $2 to $4 million apiece. Don't worry, we'll win the war with that. The same way you won the war in Iraq with them. Well, I mean, that was a little bit different. Yeah, you told us back then you could win it without troops on the ground too. And just as soon as the jet planes came down, and by the way, we got to put some troops on the ground. We got to do that. And that was when the real trouble started. Not when you tried to conquer it, but when you tried to hold it. And now, here we are again, with a much bigger country, much more sophisticated, and of course, the American government is telling everybody, hey, they love us over there. These people can't wait for us to invade their country. Why, don't you see all these people out here dancing on Saddam Hussein's statue? They speak for the public. Don't the fact that we lied our way into this and we've been lying about everything we were doing before. Don't let that get in your way here. Trust us, these Iranians want us there just like the Iraqis did. Why, we've even got some video to show you. See? Don't you see the millions of people in front of this building? Don't you see these millions? The millions and millions in front of this building here? Can't you tell the millions of people here? Can't you tell that? Can't you tell that? By the way, in the chat room, if you have been instructed by my mods to call in, you got 2 minutes. To be on the line, you got 2 minutes. The link to the Zoom has been pinned to the top of the chat room, so you'll have 2 minutes here to go ahead and be on the line. By the way, I want to show you all, it's a new day. It's a new day. It's a brand new day. And some of the folks who sat up here and said these things here before, by the way, yeah. Some of these folks who said these things here, by the way, we're going to make sure that they're going to be front and center to speak on this stuff here for any bots out there, foreign government, State Department, whatever. It's like you're not going to win the information war. You've already lost that. It might be tough to hear, but you've already lost that one. What you're hoping is that you can saturate the zone long enough that there's not going to be severe resistance to it. And what it's showing you is that you learned nothing from your defeat in Iraq. You learned nothing from it. You didn't learn anything from it. And that's the real damn problem. We are going to be talking about this tonight. We're going to be talking about this tonight in depth. And you are all more than welcome to join us. I've gone ahead and pinned the Zoom to the top of the chat room there. We are talking about America's invasion and war in Iraq. Imperialism reigns supreme. And one more thing, yes, we did play a part in this. Yes, we did. You see, if the Democrats, if they had simply given us our reparations, if you had put us at the top of the agenda, Donald the bigot Trump would not be back in that White House now. He would be forever exiled. And we would have him in prison today. If the Democrats had done what they were supposed to do, we would have Donald Trump and his criminal family in prison today. They all would have been gathered up by now. He would not be in the White House. He would be at Fort Leavenworth or Rikers Island or some equivalent. That's where he would be tonight. But you see, you want to roll the dice. You wanted to tell yourselves what wouldn't happen. You wanted to tell yourselves, man, damn them niggas, they all like the civil rights generation. You wanted to tell yourself you could play that game. And now you see what happens. Now the inmates are running the asylum, and oh yeah, by the way, don't even think for a moment that you can come back here and cause some panic and say, well, we all got to band together now and get Trumps up out of there. The hell we do. No, I want the heat on. I want the heat on. I want the dogs on them so that you suffer badly enough that it breaks your desire to keep committing injustice. That's what I want. I want you to suffer badly enough that you finally get broken and decide that the discomfort of injustice outweighs your annoyance at justice. Leave Trump right where he is. Send the troops over to the Middle East. By the way, there's been a whole bunch of cooning in the military. I said it.
And deal with it.
The military has been a repository of cooning and buffooning now for decades. You talk about the NBA and the NFL, but tonight we gonna keep it 100. Just for tonight, we can go back to tomorrow night being in denial. But tonight we gonna keep it 100. The U.S. military has been a bastion for buck dancing and cooning. Some of your favorite so-called cooning MAGA podcasters draw themselves back to the military. That's been a place where they've been hanging out hard and heavy for the longest damn time. They get there long enough, and next thing you know, they start talking like white supremacist police officers, us versus them. The military has been a sanctuary for those types of individuals. And my people who've been in the military will bear me witness. Sitting up here running from one barracks to another, chasing whoever slutty ass wife is available to lay up with this damn weekend. And that's what they've been spending their time focusing on. They get out the military, they got their GI bills, they got their pensions, and all they can do is sit up here and slum it up and slut it up and every damn thing else. Ain't nobody taking the system to task. Geronimo Pratt used his military training for the people. The Black Panthers and folks in the Panthers who have been in the military, they used their military training for the people. You have the most spoiled, rotten, entitled group of military folk who have never seen combat. What? Oh yeah, one more thing. Ain't never seen combat. They march around the base, they go to the BX, they go to the officers' ball, they sit up here and go rack up a bunch of kids by a bunch of sluts. Ain't never been to a war zone. I need you all to know that the folks in the military today have never seen combat. Been in the military for 15, 20, 25 years and never saw combat. Getting hella benefits. Hella benefits, and then they'll jump out the military and tell you and me about how white supremacy don't exist. And that's just the real problem right there. He ain't built nothing, but you need to get your head on straight. So I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge that, by the way, those of you in the military, it's time to get up! Get your ass out of bed! You never know when it's coming, you might get the call. Oh man, is that Uncle Sam calling you? Yeah, there's a bunch of folks found themselves on a aircraft carrier going to the Middle East. No warning. They didn't even have time to go tell their families goodbye. They just got told the ship is turning. Where are we going? We're heading to the Middle East. Wait a minute now. I got to call my wife. We don't do that, soldier. We're on our way right now today. The president just made the call. Wait a minute now. Folks, y'all do know that's a big issue going on right now. A bunch of them folk who were on those ships in the Middle East, they weren't warned. They didn't have any, he didn't want to let any of them know. They weren't given a heads up. They weren't given prior notice. The aircraft carriers and the battleships just started turning. Oh no, you're not going back to the mainland. You're not going to have a layover or a stay before you go. Oh, you're going right now. You're going today. And there's a whole bunch of folks. Let me tell y'all how this next part here goes. I'm not on a tangent. Let me tell you how this next part goes. The next part here, let me make sure I do this the right way. Let me make sure I do this the right way. Because there'll be some folks who be like, okay, Jason, you kind of glossed over it before. No. I want to make sure I do this the right way. Because a lot of these military folk have really been, messing around for a long time here and playing around and, oh, it's all gonna be fun and games and we don't have to take this seriously and all you niggas with that pro-black stuff and I've been to Asia and I've been to these other places and y'all niggas just be complaining is the real problem right there. If y'all would just get your act together, you wouldn't be sitting around complaining so damn much. That's the real issue there. But, I served in the Marine Corps. I served in the Air Force and that's the real thing there. The rest of y'all just be whining and whatnot. So, I want to take a minute to do this right quick. Let me go ahead and throw this up on the screen for y'all. Yeah, I'm looking at y'all gals right here. What? Damn! Yeah, I'm looking at y'all. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them out here. Some of these barracks, well, they got a name for them in the barracks. In the truck driving industry, they're lot lizards, but in the barracks, y'all know what's going on. Y'all know what's going on. So some of the thoughts in the barracks and whatnot, yes, life been sweet for a minute, but we know what happens now. What happens now is a bunch of y'all start trying to get pregnant. A bunch of them gonna start trying to get pregnant now, y'all. Y'all know what happens when the bullets start flying. The females is like, man, look here. You couldn't send me to war. I got a baby to take care of. Wait a minute now. You got to send me back stateside. I's pregnant. They've tried this in every war since Iraq War I. They've tried this in every war since the 90s. They sit up here and get on them ships as soon as they find out, oh, wait a minute, the bullets is flying and people is dying. All of a sudden, them chicks who were sitting up here dancing the Tootsie Roll and all the Millie Rock and sitting up here doing the dab, and it's like, okay, she gonna be like, wait a minute, let me dab on this pregnancy right quick and see if I can get me an exemption. Y'all know they kind of sealed that back up. They kind of sealed that little loophole back up. It's like, baby, you can be gone just long enough to drop the load. Then as a matter of fact, we got a hospital over here, so you don't even have to go back stateside. We got a hospital and a nursery over here. So, yeah, you can drop the load over here, and then you got about 6 weeks, and then you're going to be back on the front line. Yeah, what's the name? Sears and whatnot. Yeah, these military folk who come back, and next thing you know, everything's cooning it up. Yeah, now that it's time for y'all to earn that little military paycheck. Now it's time for y'all to earn them little benefits. It's like, okay. All right, it's gonna be a bunch of them pretty much here to me like, black first, brother, black first. It's about to be a whole bunch of that here in just a minute. Don't worry, y'all. It's not gonna be this weekend just yet. Reality hadn't sunk in for them. When they realized the bullets are still flying Monday And when they go back and start checking the old films and some of the older soldiers start telling about what happened to them in Iraq, don't you know it's going to be so many heifers walking around like crack fiends trying to get pregnant left and right? These going to be chicks trying to figure out if they can get triplets. What? Oh, yeah, the panic ain't set in just yet. Not just yet, it ain't. It hasn't become real for them just yet. But don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. It's going to get real for them in a minute here. Because remember, it's like the damn death lottery. It's like, hey, you got to go. And it doesn't matter what your skill set is. All the females are going to be like, I got to work in the kitchen. I can't be out there on no front line. And they're going to be like, look here, we short-handed today. Get your ass in this Humvee. They going to tell them hoes, you call us hoes? I sure did.
And deal with it.
They're going to tell her, get her ass in that Humvee. Not going to be a strong, independent nothing in the Middle East. Not after this weekend. Yeah, so I'm glad they in good shape too. That's you going to need to be to run from them Iranians. I'm so glad these females are in such good shape and got good energy. I'm so glad for that. Got a little chunky one back here, but don't worry, she about to work that off in a minute. Yeah, I'm so glad y'all in good shape because you gonna need it to run from them Iranians here in just a minute. Yeah, because all of y'all don't fly airplanes. When the fellas who fly the jets have to stop shooting and dropping bombs, the rest of y'all gonna have to hit the street. So I hope you're in good shape because you gonna need to keep ahead of them Iranians when they come around the block. Yeah, you gonna need it to break out. So just keep working out when you get up there in the morning. Yeah, y'all think this weekend is light work. You wait till next week when it sinks into them what they gonna have to do. You wait till next week and it sinks in, and yeah, it's gonna be a new day. It's gonna be a new day. However, you might disagree. Therefore, I've gone ahead and I've opened up the link to the Zoom to everyone who has been instructed by my mods to call in. You will be required to do so. If you don't, that's perfectly fine. We can ban you. My whole goal is to show everybody, say, don't let them fool you with bot accounts. My job is to expose them and point them out and show them, to show you all, yeah, they think this is 21st century technological warfare. Yeah, as soon as you sit up here and say, hey, why don't you come over here and tell everybody how smart you are, and then you realize it goes away. It's like, I'll be damned, it was a fraud. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Middle East, Gulf War 4 or 5. I forget which one we're on right now, y'all. It's like the Fast and Furious movies. I don't know if we're on the 7th, 8th, 10th. I don't know which conflict in the Middle East we're on right now. What I do know is it all looks very familiar. They're making all the same promises that politicians love to make, that this will be a tick-tock war while it will be finished in 30 minutes, and that's not the way this works. So rest assured, for those who got hoodwinked, they're about to find out. In the meantime, I want to thank everyone, and I do mean everybody who has contributed to support tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to Nancy King. Thank you very much for your support tonight, Nancy. We appreciate that. To my man, Willis Addison, thank you very much for your support here as well. To Mr. Richburg, Arthur Raquello, thank you very much for your support here also. Mark B, Mr. Ronald, and to everyone else who has contributed for tonight's program, Zavon and everyone else, thank you very much for your support. We're going to take a very brief non-commercial break here. When we come back, we're going to take you all, folks are already piling up over here on Zoom, so very glad to have that. Folks are already piling up over here on Zoom, so we're going to go ahead and get to y'all here right after this very brief non-commercial break. This is the Black Channel.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we repping the gains. Mr. B the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening, as we are discussing the beginning of the American-Iran war, brought to you by Israel, Saudi Arabia, and we don't even have Halliburton this time. Last time we had Halliburton. I'm sure there's somewhere around, don't get me wrong, but brought to you by Israel, Saudi Arabia, the Ellison family, and Oracle, brought to you by them. So you are in it now. All right, we got everybody over here piled up on Zoom. I want y'all to go ahead and just have some patience here. If you've been told by my mods to call in, you need to let them know you're on the line. And if you don't, that's great too, because just to let everybody know here, please understand, they think they're going to do psychological warfare. If you see anybody disputing a word I've said and they were told to call in, just understand, oh, you're one of them. You're one of the agents. It's like, yeah, I can make a screen name over here. Don't worry, this will work. No, it actually won't. It actually won't. All right, let's go ahead and jump into it here. Let's see if we can go ahead and first and foremost here, see if we can get up here. Superpower Media is going to be first here tonight. All right, Superpower Media, what's on your mind?
Jason, I guess John McCain got his wish when he said bomb, bomb, bomb Iran.
Yeah.
It's too bad he's not here to see it. But he was right. I guess he was right. These people have no decency. They have no honor. They have this is their blueprint.
This is American policy. It doesn't matter which quote unquote political party you vote for. You notice you keep doing the same stuff. No matter who you vote for, it just keeps going in the same direction. So what does that show you? That's not a Republican policy or a Democrat policy. That's an American policy.
Right. And also you left out something, Jason. You left out the same time we was at war with Iraq, we was in Afghanistan. We was waging two wars. And I want to the people, some of the listeners might not have been born yet, but do you realize that we don't even know how much money was spent? They can't even tell you how much money was spent on those two wars. We know the lives that was lost, but money wise, you can't even add it up.
Well, no, it's not that it's not that you can't add it up. You can't add it up because they've never disclosed it. Remember, the Iraq war in particular, Afghanistan, yes, but it really kicked off with Iraq. was, remember, that was the beginning. Okay, that's not the beginning either. This is how confusing all that was. It didn't start with Iraq nor Afghanistan. However, that was really the popularization of the black budget. So before then, the military did have items and things that they called off budget. They had reasons for not declaring it. Never legitimate, but they had their reasons for not declaring it. Usually because they were to chicanery. When we get into Iraq War II, all of a sudden the black budget is everything. The whole parts of this whole thing are black budget, which means not disclosed to Congress and not listed as part of the budget whatsoever. So the reason you can't do it isn't because, well, they spent so much. It's because they've never disclosed how much they actually spent, which is why the U.S. military regularly fails audits. So the black budget, which used to be a break glass in case of emergency, this is for special uses only, has become standard procedure. To the point that now you can't even tell what your budget for the military is today. Because there's, even for the last 25 years of no wars, relatively speaking, we still continue to conceal things like the Epstein files. We still continue to conceal the budget. So no, you don't have an accurate accounting, not simply because they spend so much, they spend a hell of a lot, but because, it's their official policy to make it a black budget.
Yeah. And those guys went home. Dick Cheney went home. George Bush, he's out here in Dallas living his best life. I mean, these people don't stop, man. And look, I got a question. The lady that she was an ambassador from Israel, and she said that their biggest threat was young black men. What did she mean by that?
I mean, what they did was they took a look at what's popular, okay? What we are the moving force of resistance. Everybody else looks to go along with it. We're the moving force of resistance, and what they look at is who makes these things popular. Who is able to break these things down so that it hits at the grassroots level? And what they were saying was that they were looking on places like TikTok and whatnot and just noticing we're not Fox News people nor CNN people. So when we speak, people take it more seriously because they know we're not really partisans. That's not really what we do. So that has been something that's really been a problem for them. The old niggas sat up here and went along to go along. Right. They show up at church and they love talking about the children of Israel and this, that, and the other. My generation, the younger folk, we didn't talk like that. So they noticed our conversations were radically different. We weren't having that kind of religiosity conversation. We were judging Israel as a not modern nation state, not as some biblical, spiritual anomaly. And when they saw that was our standard conversation, that we were not following the civil rights generation in any way when it comes to this conversation, that's when they said, we got a problem. We've lost the future. Whatever the civil rights generation were doing, it didn't stick to this next generation. They're not plugged into religiosity like that. And so they started acknowledging that it's not sticking. And as far as they're concerned, their fears were valid because now they're taking a look at the society in general. Everyone knows that we're the trendsetters. We're the trendsetters. We're the tastemakers. We're that critical mass of the 10% that once we get something going and make it part of the consciousness and the conversation, everybody else picks up on it. And when they saw that this was the way we were talking about Israel, they were like, yeah, we got a problem. Remember, black people disproportionately use social media. We've always called it a negative thing. I never saw it as a negative thing, just depending on how it was used. I never had a problem with us being in large numbers on social media. I have a problem with cooning and buffooning and shucking and jiving being the majority of what you do. But remember, you've heard forever, and you're aware of this, you've been following me long enough, they've always said that we disproportionately use social media. Oh, is it 40% or 50% is black folk? What y'all doing with that? Well, they noticed. These foreign governments noticed who was putting out the most content. Because back then they weren't calling content. Now they do. And if you're sitting up here constantly posting, constantly grabbing a new audience, constantly recruiting people, constantly talking to people, you're basically broadcasting 24/7. That was what they noticed. hey, y'all are 14% of the population, but 50% of the broadcasting. And it's not particularly flattering to us and our interest over here in the Middle East. We got a problem. So that's, in my opinion, that's where it comes from.
Yeah, because they start calling us Black Twitter, So yeah, I see what you're saying on that one. I just want to tell everybody, man, keep your head on the swivel, man. This is gonna go badly. So be one, Jason.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I mean, the only ray of hope here is that Donald Trump has been so congenitally a failure and so congenitally incompetent that I wouldn't be surprised if he gives up on this thing relatively quickly. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts it and then forgets where he left his wallet, and that's the end of that. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, let me go ahead and see if we can get Brother Elijah up here on Zoom for me here right quick. All right, Brother Elijah, what's on your mind?
Hey, Jason. All right, be one to you and the family. Hey, Jason, big brother. Now, excellent broadcast tonight. I have a question. Predict for you to predict this. Do you see the draft coming back very soon?
No. Next question.
Oh, okay. All right. So this was just was this basically just a what you call one of those random message killings? All right. It's not gonna literally just go on, but they're just sending a message that this will happen and everything like that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, look, the bottom line is that your government has been captured by Israeli interests, among others. Mm-hmm. And they're right now, what they're showing you is they're panicking. They don't believe they have 5 more years. What they're saying is that we are never going to have another president who is going to be this malleable and this under our control. Mm-hmm. And they're looking at Congress and the Senate, and they're saying, hey, everybody knows what AIPAC is now, and all of its satellites and all of its similar organizations. So it's the agenda that is going down. It's the agenda. So they're moving fast because they're like, we don't think we have another 10 years.
Right.
We're not, in 10 years, all these college students that we were sitting up here arresting and hemming up and whatnot, they're going to be in politics by then. And you think they're going to be more agreeable to us by the time they get there? Or do you think they're going to be more hostile? So if we're going to do this, it's going to be ugly. It's going to be sloppy. We better do it now because waiting isn't going to make our chances higher.
Big brother, I need to ask you, can you further
in the chat room, for those of you who don't understand, the draft did not end in 1973. The draft was renamed. So let us not get silly about this. The draft did not end. The draft is still very much in effect. Everybody, all of us as males have our draft cards. They now call it selective service, but all of us have our draft cards. So no, the draft did not end. The draft was renamed selective service.
Yes, sir.
But yes, they could literally, all of us who are signed up for selective service, which is all males. By the way, where are all y'all damn females out here? What? I'm looking for the strong and independent females who love to run their mouths on social media. When the bullets start dropping, all of a sudden they put their damn thongs on and put on some makeup and start taking a bath, and they start wearing dresses and Pippi Longstocking braids. I'm just trying to, okay, well, I was what happened? I need the strong and independent over here to get on this battleship and head to the Middle East. It's not a strong and independent female to be found in America this weekend. So that's the way this part goes right here. But no, selective service is the draft, people. It was just simply renamed. It has all of the powers of the draft. As a matter of fact, it's got powers that the draft did not have, because with the draft, you had a lottery, was basically where the draft went. Selective service doesn't actually have that mechanism. Selective service allows them to simply say, if you are an able-bodied male between these ages, and I have to say these ages because now that has become amorphous.
Nigga, what?
It has now become amorphous. You were in the military, Elijah. Yes, so sir. You understand that ever since Gulf War I in the 90s, we've watched as the eligible age to enter the military has gone up into the 40s.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, that's the bad news. Here's the worst news. Take a look at the eligible military ages in Ukraine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can be in your 50s in Ukraine.
Yes.
That's what the draft is for. Able-bodied males, well, that includes all the way up into your 50s. So if the crap hits the fan, that's when the draft goes into effect. The draft goes into effect. If selective service goes into effect, it's all bets off.
Right. And it's a ducktail what you was teaching us for many years. You did say this, the males are the warrior class of society. So, this is what comes with it, big brother. And I have a question. I got one last question. I'm gonna land my plane. Can you further expand on what you was dropping with about the situation with Iran's nuclear arsenal as opposed to North Korea? Because you said that Iran was scrambling. They didn't do what North Korea did many years ago and establish their thing. I always thought it was established. That's why they laid off of Iran. They know not to attack nuclear arsenal countries and everything like that. Something went wrong.
Yeah, I mean, this is the warning to everybody here. I mean, the warning to everyone is if you don't have nuclear weapons, you're on the menu.
Right.
You're on the menu.
Oh, wow.
It doesn't matter who you are and where you are the meat. The only ones who are off limits are the ones with nuclear weapons. Everybody else, you are on the menu now. Yeah,
they were saying Iran had nuclear missiles and everything like that.
And they don't.
They never was a nuclear country then.
These are lies. There's only one nuclear power in the Middle East, Israel.
Russia.
Israel.
Oh.
There is only one nuclear power in the Middle East. The one guy who's running around saying, hey, these other folks over here trying to get nukes. There's only one person there's only one country in the Middle East that actually got them, Israel. They're the only ones who actually have one. And what do you know? They've declared war on everybody else who doesn't have one.
Oh, wow.
So there's only one nation pushing this. Just one.
Oh, wow. So I'm taking a wild guess, big brother. We're going to see Iraq and Afghanistan on steroids now, basically.
I'm not 100% certain to what extent you will see that. What I am telling you here is that this was pushed by Israel for the purposes of remaking the Middle East so they can conquer it. And they're intending to see this through. And here's the real issue of it. The issue of it is not going to stop here.
No.
The real issue is it's not going to stop here. We're going to look up in a little while, and then we're going to see that they're going to come up with some pretense. Eventually, they're going to come up with some pretense to go after Jordan, Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. They're going to come up with some reason to go after them next. Now, that one will be harder, but ultimately, you're going to have to go after them. The Greater Israel Project doesn't actually really work until you do.
Yes,
so
sir.
They've already shown you they are not going to be content with the Golan Heights and the Gaza Strip. No, they want the whole Middle East.
Big brother, though, if they continue this, Greater Israel strategy, then what does that say about the Jews here? Because they're gonna start making themselves far more unsafe here in the States. Because what you was just talking about those people who are going against them with the because they know about AIPAC. I saw videos where people would start just swinging on Jews. They're gonna make themselves more of a target here in the States if this continues to happen. Don't you think?
Well, I certainly hope not, because it's a flux situation. You notice I say the Israelis, I make a deliberate conscious effort to make that distinction, because the truth of the matter is there are plenty of Jews who ain't with this. It's a complicated history, folks. It is not cut and dry. The nation of Israel and the people who founded it, there are plenty of books about it. You can read books like The Israel Lobby, but, you know, Norm Finkelstein is very, very good for that. You can research him. He's done a lot of work on it, which is why he's run afoul of his fellow Jews in that regard. But a lot of the people like Joseph Ben Gurion, they didn't really want the Holocaust Jews coming over there. They just ultimately had to allow that. But in reality, they made distinctions between themselves and the so-called European Jews and things like that. So it's a complicated history. When you talk about the Hasidic Jews, for example, yeah, they're up there in Curious Joel, but also they're the biggest opponents of the Gaza genocide. What?
Oh.
So, yeah, we've talked about this before. The Hasidic Jews and whatnot, I mean, they got their hats on and their braids on and things like that. It's like, okay, a bunch of kids and buggies, we got it. But actually, they were the biggest opponents, to the point that they get beat up by the police in Israel. They get beat up by the police and the soldiers in Israel. So they've always been against these wars and expansionism in Israel. Now, they don't have a problem expanding here in the U.S., apparently. But as far as Israel expanding in the Middle East, so like I say, it's like, okay, well, they're Jews too. And they are actually avidly against this, to the point that they're very annoying to their countrymen. They're like, okay, their countrymen want them all locked up. So, and these are the so-called fundamentalists. Right. So, like I say, it's not cut and dry like that. Then you have other people like, you know, Dave Smith. And, I forget his name off the top of my head, but he showed up on Breaking Points. And, like I say, you got folk like them, brother. They're Jewish as well, and they are absolutely against it.
Right.
And they've been against it. I mean, they're on the record from day one. Hey, we're not about this. We're not about it. We're not for it. We don't support it. We're not trying to have any of that. And that's exactly what it is. So it's more complicated than that. Because it's just like you and me. You know, let me just go ahead and break down one barrier here. Even if we identified as displaced Africans in America, even if we were really heavy on the on the Pan-African thing, that does not mean that I support female circumcision.
Right.
That does not mean I'm like, well, hands off Ethiopia, let them slice little girls up. No. Ethiopia can't say, hey, Jason, I need you to back me up on this, and I can't back you on that.
Right.
Yeah, I really can't back you on that. So things like that, or, you know, what happened in Rwanda. Like, okay, even if I identified in that way, I'm not backing you on this.
Right.
You know, you're my color, but you're not my kind.
Of course.
So with that being the case, that's very, very similar to what you're seeing there. So it's very easy for folks to become monolithic. I warn people against that kind of thing, because it's not accurate. It just isn't. And confusion is what allows bad folk to keep winning. If you can clearly define it, then you realize, wait a minute, this Zionist group over here is actually much smaller. And they don't have nearly the support they pretend they do. What they are is they're very well financed, which is how you trying to make yourself look way bigger than you are. If you don't have the population numbers, get the damn financial numbers, and then fake it till you make it.
Yes.
I'll let you have the last word.
Hey, big brother. I want to leave the brothers and sisters with the late great Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. And I'm not going to use any specific, but he said that this man is absolutely disagreeable to live with in peace, and that no one has been able to live on the planet Earth with him all over all the square miles of the planet Earth. I hope people start to see that, because they will, anytime this man is in trouble, he'll always try to go and gin up and start a war with another nation. And on that, I'm going to land my plane, and thank you for taking my call tonight.
Thank you very much for giving us a call here tonight. Let me see if I can get over here on Zoom right quick. I think I got Byron here on Zoom. I'm looking for Byron here on Zoom. Byron, I don't see anybody here. Where you at, Byron? Okay, Byron, I don't see anything here, so I'll give you 5 seconds to get that corrected. Then we're going to go ahead and move on. There you go, Byron. All right, Byron, what's on your mind?
They told me to call, Jason.
Yes, sir. You were told to call. You already know why, sir, so go ahead and go with it.
Okay, I made a statement about being defeated from the sky.
Boy, you don't sound drunk at all. Not at all. You sound completely sober. Yeah. You sound completely
Okay,
sober.
I got to do something else because I'm listening to the broadcast too.
Yeah, you shouldn't have me. Yeah,
let
you
me
shouldn't
do
have
that.
YouTube turned off here. That newfangled technology.
Okay, now you hear me, Jason, clearly?
Okay, I've heard you drunk the whole time, sir. Anyway, you were explaining.
Okay, I made a statement about being defeated from the sky. Now, after Pearl Harbor, wasn't Hiroshima defeated from the sky when America dropped the bomb on them?
Wasn't Hiroshima defeated from the sky?
Yeah.
Wow. I guess in the very strictest of terms, Hiroshima was defeated from the sky. I guess that's like saying Tehran's being defeated from the sky today, although that's okay.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, didn't they drop the bomb on the...
Okay, put the phone closer, sir. It's just y'all. Just...
I mean, didn't they drop the bomb on the populace, the civilians?
Okay, sir, I need you to put your struggle phone closer. We can barely hear you.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, let me turn.
Okay, if you have earphones on, you need to turn those off.
Okay, let me turn it off.
Okay, y'all, those Family Dollar earbuds he had on. Sir, now we don't hear anything at all. You need to turn those off.
Okay, can you hear me now, Jason?
Yes, sir. Now we can hear you, yes.
All right, Jason. I just want to say I finally figured out how to use Zoom, and I've been listening to you for some years now, and I've never disagreed with you. Not too many times, but sometimes I do. But at the same time, and what I'm talking about is this. I agree with you. But Hiroshima, that's how I pronounce it, was defeated from the sky because they dropped the bomb on the populace. They didn't give a damn who was down there. They dropped the bomb on them after Pearl Harbor. And that was a defeat from the sky.
Okay, well, I guess technically that was, quote, after Pearl Harbor. I mean, but only in the loosest.
Yes, sir.
Only in the loosest of senses, but okay. All right, sir, how much you know about your World War II history?
Oh Lord.
Okay, because you're gonna get my chat room and you're going to correct me. So first and foremost, I need to know how much you know. Tell me the date that the bomb got dropped on Hiroshima. Go.
My goodness.
I thought you were gonna educate us.
Oh man. My goodness.
Okay, so is it safe? Let's try this. Since clearly you don't know. Since clearly you don't know what day it was.
It had to been around the 1930s, between the 1930s and 1920s, because my grandfather.
This is the guy who's going to educate us. Sir, the war. Sir, that was.
No, I'm not trying to educate you.
Sir, it was 19. Sir, it was 19. It was 1945.
All right.
Not even close.
All right.
The exact date is August 6th, sir.
Well.
Okay, sir, why don't you just listen for a minute, because you've been wrong on everything you said, which is why I want you to call in, because this kind of and then he's drinking. Okay, well, this explains every damn thing. How can I get upset with a drunk?
And now you're telling everybody my business. Now you're telling everybody my business.
Well, sir,
and it's supposed to be a conversation between me and you.
Don't get triggered.
Face to face,
Don't get triggered. Don't get triggered. Don't get triggered. Uncle Melvin, don't get triggered. Don't get triggered, Uncle Melvin. Okay, there you go. Now, first, okay, just put your Thunderbird down. Now, first of all, that was August 6, 1945. For those of you,
I'm drinking Crown. I'm drinking Crown, Jason.
The Clown Prince of Crime. I don't
since
blame you.
Since you're telling all my business.
Okay, well,
since you're telling all my business, and I'll let you into my business.
Okay, sir.
And I'm not being disrespectful
You're not
to
going
you,
to take over my program. You're going to be quiet while the host is speaking. You were asked
sir.
what you know, and you showed us you don't know anything, so now you're going to to learn. The Japanese did not surrender after the bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. That was the problem, sir. So for those of you who are not fully informed about it, yes, the bomb dropped on Hiroshima, but Japan did not surrender. That's the whole reason why you had to have Nagasaki a few days later, because Japan did not surrender when Hiroshima happened. Truth be told, they didn't surrender when Nagasaki happened either. For those of you who don't know your World War II history, in reality, it was Russia's declaration of war on Japan, which happened in between Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Word got around a lot slower because you just nuked the city. The word got around to them. They finally got informed that Russia has declared war on you. That was when Japan made the decision, it's time to wrap it up. We've been hit with 2 bombs and America's here already. The Brits are here. Russia's mopped up Germany and now they're coming too. This war is over. We're just going to sit here and let the Russians do us like they just did Germany and they ain't taking no prisoners. So what we gonna do? So for those of you who do not know your history, yes, the bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but go look up the story of Iwo Jima. Japan was not going to surrender, and they didn't surrender after the bombs dropped. The bombs were a contributing factor. They did not make the decision until the Soviet Union, well, the Russians, declared war on them. And the threat of boots, sir, the threat of boots on the ground is what did it.
No, I'm not arguing that point. I agree with you on that point.
So they didn't lose the air. They didn't lose the war from the air, sir.
Okay, if they didn't lose the war from the air, then why do they behave the way they behave now?
Boy, what in the hell's the matter with you?
What are you talking about?
Japan loves America.
Okay.
They can't. America can't do anything wrong to Japan.
Actually, America can do plenty wrong in Japan.
But the Chinese. Excuse me, Jason. But the Chinese, they do not agree.
Get off my phone! Okay, Byron, go sleep it off. I don't have time to sit here and debate with the drunk uncle. Go sleep it off. Just do that. That's the problem right here. Where's my yak? They lost from the sky. What year did the war end? 1920, 1930, somewhere around there, right there. Great Depression. Oh my goodness, 1945. When the bombs dropped, in the 20s and 30s, somewhere around there. The 20s, people. He's saying World War II started in the 20s. That's, all right. Fine. Okay. I give up. All right. I'm shutting the black channel down. Let's just forget about it. Look at the white supremacists got happy for a minute. Yes, finally. Okay. No. Psych. All right. Let me go ahead and jump over here. Who is Nolan? Who is Nolan here? And folks, by the way, if you don't believe me, you can go ahead and Google all this stuff right here. You all remember the documentaries, The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. World War II can be fascinating history. It really, really can be here. It really, really can be. Okay, Brother Nolan, I'm not really sure if you're there or not here. Everybody who's on Zoom, make sure when you call in, make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on, just so we don't have any trolling issues. I can give you 5 seconds to do that, and I got to go ahead and move on here, Nolan. So I can give you 5 seconds to go ahead and make sure you have your camera and mic turned on, or I got to move on. All right, Nolan, I can give you 3 more seconds to make sure you have your camera and your microphone turned on. There's a lot of folk waiting to speak. You're slowing us down here. I can give you 1 more second to take care of that, then I got to go. Okay, Nolan, point your camera down, sir. Okay, sir, you fighting with the point your camera down, sir. Okay, sir, all I hear is the top of your head there.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I got somebody's grandfather.
Can you see?
Okay, all right. All right, Nolan, what's on your mind?
I just want to tell you how grateful I am. I didn't see you stand up on this.
Okay, I want to tell you how grateful I am for you to get a phone, get some Wi-Fi for that. Okay, Nolan, give us a call back later, y'all. He's on that Nagasaki mobile, so I got to keep it pushing. But thank you for checking in with us here. All right, let me go ahead and see if we can get Brother Prince out of Richmond up here on Zoom for me tonight. All right, Prince, what's on your mind?
Yeah, the gentleman didn't understand that nobody likes fighting a war on two fronts. So when Russia come in involved in it, that would have made it where that would have been horrible. That's what happened to Napoleon. That's what happened to Germany. Germany first, Russia was on their side, and then Germany turned against Russia. They was on the same side. People don't understand. That's how it worked. They dropped so many pamphlets in Japan. Japan wasn't trying to hear none of that. They was fighting every little island step by step, bro.
Yeah, they were fighting tooth and nail. So America, whole reason for America dropping the bombs is because they were getting bogged down in Japan to begin with. Also, Oliver Stone talked about this. So much of the history has been lost. Yeah. And what has happened here is that we've had a version of history that's been delivered to you and distilled down by Hollywood, which has left out major factors that actually matter. In reality, Russia was a huge factor in the end of World War II. When Germany tried to invade Russia, and they thought they were going to overrun Russia, and a lot of folks thought they were too, but Russia fought them in the damn ice in sub-zero temperatures, and the Germans literally froze in the cold, and that was how the Soviet Union earned its worldwide reputation for being some of the toughest fighters on the planet, because they fought Nazi Germany to a standstill and then pushed them back at Stalingrad and Leningrad and whatever else you want to call it today. So that's what happened. That was the first thing that happened. Now you had a situation where they marched back down and said, okay, it's payback time. And they were brutal with it to let everybody know, yeah, we on the scene. So by the time we do get to Japan, what you've been told is that the bombs dropped in Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and that was what ended the war. Well, yes, it was a major factor, but the detail that's missing is, but the Japanese did not surrender because of that. No, they did not surrender with Hiroshima or Nagasaki. They surrendered after Russia declared war, and it's going to be boots on the ground. That was what did it.
Exactly, and they saw what happened. Remember, the first people to make it into Berlin were the Russians, and that's why Hitler killed himself. So these are the things. So they saw how Russia took no. How can I say? They wouldn't. Absolutely.
No, they weren't taking no prisoners there. When they came through town, they were like, hey, y'all been beating up on us for the last few years. It's like, okay, it's payback time. It's payback time, and we sparing no blows. And that's exactly what it was going to be. So they're like, you know what, let me put this bullet in my head, because the Russians are going to be creative with how they get rid of you.
And the Japanese were seen as so bad as villains that you have Japanese soldiers that serve in the military. They won't let them come off the base. Sometime they have. When they go to China area, when they come over there, they won't let them come off certain areas when they close to Korea. I'm telling you, it's a lot of hostility with these people because they didn't really take prisoners. They just pretty much killed most of the prisoners of war. Now, Jason, the people that they gonna get first, they gonna get the reserves. If they're gonna lock everybody down, so nobody's gonna be able to get out of the military right now. That's a freeze. Then number two, the reserve, they might make some of them active. Anybody that has any specialty that they need, they might require them to come back, even if they might have a little age on them, if they have some MOS or military occupational specialty that's needed. Now, with these women, the first Gulf War, they had the first integrated ship called the Love Boat. And you know why they called it that. The women thought if they got pregnant, that they would be able to get out of it. No, you get Article 15, you have to sign over custody of your child to someone else. Whether it's the daddy, if he's over there, you got to sign over to a family member, and they gonna have custody of your child while you come on back over here and handle this business.
GI issue. GI means government. For those of y'all forgot, that's government issue, y'all. You are literally the property of the United States government when you enter the military. And what that means is the man can do with you what he wants to do with you. And if you resist, you're going to be in trouble. So if he says, yeah, leave your, because Prince, what folks don't understand is that basically you're operating under old British law, British military law. So when you start talking about mutiny and things like this, no. If the commander says you leave your kid with them folk over there, that wasn't a suggestion. No. That's an order. You are not in peacetime. Those rules of civility you talking about apply in peacetime. The government literally does not acknowledge that during wartime. So it's like, peacetime rules are during peacetime. Wartime, them rules go out the window. So it's going to be a lot of chicks thinking they're going to do what they tried to do back in 91 and 92. And a few of the dumb ones 10 years later thought they could get away with it. And it's like, nah, baby, just as soon as you drop the load,
you back in action.
Don't worry, we're going to have a desk job for you. And pretty soon, whatever your job was, and we're going to get you back out there in that field in just a minute.
Now, and I want y'all to understand, when I was over in the first Gulf War, we stopped once we got to that, I don't know what they call it, the road of death, where they shot up all them people with them airplanes. We stopped there because they didn't want us going in, because we was actually like fighting battles, little skirmishes and stuff. So that was actually everything Jason is telling you the truth. I don't know how he know all this, but they don't tell you nothing. I woke up one morning and we was going and everything was burning. They told us we weren't going to be fighting. They said, you're not going to do anything. We're going to be back. And next thing you know, we're in action.
Lie.
They told us that, and I'm so naive. I believed them because they were our sergeants. They say, hey, listen, they're just going to take our tanks over there first. They say on ships, they took them over Navy ships. They say, we're not going to need them. They say, well, we're going to go over there, but we're going to be on the coast. Then they say, we're going to go as just support.
Mission creep.
And then they said the planes, as you said, so anybody that's that much of, I ain't gonna call them an idiot, that ignorant to think that you can win any war, even though we were in the middle of the desert, these people had their tanks under dunes. So the planes couldn't even see them. So what do we do about that? How can you win a war when the planes can't stop? They're not a helicopter. They just fly over. They can't even see them. The only way you're going to see them is we start coming through the tanks and the Bradley vehicles and sift them out. It's got us inch by inch is the only way to do it. And if you don't cut off their supply, which you eventually did, and thank God, most of them, well, I ain't going to say most, but a lot surrendered. People don't know. Hundreds of thousands of people died over there on their side. And the second war, they had a short little battle skirmish-like thing, and a few battles, but Desert Storm, that was the largest tank battle since World War II. It was not an infantry war. And when it comes to what he's saying about black people, Jet Magazine put out that 51% of the people on the front line was black men, black people, black men in particular. Here's the thing. Yeah, on the front line, but actually doing combat, I think we made up, from what I could tell, 65%.
Yeah, because they always promote the white dudes. So the white dudes get promoted and they're in leadership roles and officers and whatnot. But as far as infantry, oh no, the black folk get kept down there.
Combat jobs. I was in a tank, the infantry, all the ones that go up, the scouts, the ones that go see the enemy in that little bitty vehicle and have to hurry up and turn around, almost all black. And see, that's what people don't understand. And you bringing up the Coonan situation, yes. It's disheartening. I would say the Coonan situation in a combat zone, brother, was, I want to say 65 to 70% was Coonan. Only about 30% of us was on point. But dealing with these coons, they like, if they like our tank was the first one to neutralize some things, right? And so the white boys come over there. Oh, blah, blah. Oh, the sergeant, you did such a good job. We're gonna take this, I guess, the shell to the what's called. We're gonna honor you. I say, can you take us off point, Sergeant? Because you keep putting us on point. So why don't y'all have somebody? Why don't one of y'all go on point? They ain't want to say nothing else to me. So they want to get us killed. And I told them when we got back over there, don't you ever sit there, I almost cursed, and kiss behind, and we gonna lose our life because you letting this white man stroke your ego and make you feel happy, but he keep putting us on point at the front of the arrow, so we gonna be the first one to contact the enemy. So you're totally right about it. But I don't know what to do with the coons in the military. I guess they get brainwashed or they come in there like that, but they be so...
They get indoctrinated for the ones who weren't going in there for it in the first place. They get indoctrinated, they stay long enough, and next thing you know, you start identifying with those folk. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. We appreciate that. Let me see if I can get Blanco up here for me right quick. Let me see if we can get Blanco up here right quick. Did he walk away from his phone here tonight? Okay, folks, I can't wait around here forever. I got a whole bunch of folk waiting to speak to me here tonight, so I can't wait around forever on y'all. I can give you 5 seconds here, Blanco, then I got to move on, brother.
Oh.
Okay, I can give you 3 more seconds, then I got to move on here, Blanco. I don't see anything. I don't hear nothing here, so folks are calling me on the Zimbabwe broadband tonight. I'm not really sure what's going on. Okay, we got to go ahead and move on, brother. Let me get Greg up here on Zoom for me here right quick. Let me get Greg up here. Let me go ahead and get the bombs busting right again. All right, let me see if I can get Greg up here on Zoom. I don't know what's happening. Okay, Greg was here. Now they're not. What's going on? I don't understand. So I think folks are sitting by their phones and stuff, and then they disappearing. Okay, well, Brother Shakir, all right, everybody else has disappeared. You up next. I hope you don't vanish. What's on your mind?
I hope it don't vanish either. I plan on being around for a while. Anyway, you had me a bit confused, Jason. Perhaps you can clear things up. You said that I guess Israelis are kind of panicking because this president is the most amenable to an attack on Iran, because the young people of today in the United States may not be as sympathetic to the Israeli plight as as maybe this administration is in the Middle East. But then you go on to say that I'm going to get this straight, that if it comes down to deciding between the Saudis and the Israelis, the Americans would choose the Saudis, and that would be sometime in the future, and that would be these.
That's not what I said. That's literally the opposite of what I said. I said if it comes down in the future, the American government will side with Israel.
Yeah, well, I may have said it wrong. That's what I meant. They will side with Israel. That's what I meant. But if the young people of today are in the government, how and they might not be as amenable to the Israeli plight, how do you know that they would side with the Saudis?
Well, I mean, it's not going to happen overnight. So it's not like we're going to look up in 5 or 10 years and you're going to have this 180. That's going to be closer to 20, 25 years. Because remember, we got all them old fossils sitting in the government right now. I just showed y'all a video of them having to literally carry Mitch McConnell out the damn Capitol building. You got, all these octogenarians, literally Nancy Pelosi. I mean, you have a government of the ancient going on here. And the real thing is, I think the powers that be, I think you have so many members of the government who are illegal, who are criminal, that basically they're being told by people, I don't give a damn if you are in the Capitol building on an iron lung. You're the only dependable one we got. Get your ass back up in there. Or Nancy Pelosi might be a package show up at the Justice Department showing all them illegal trades you and your husband been doing for years. And you might spend your last days in a prison cell or in a courtroom fighting for your freedom. So what's it gonna be? I mean, the Epstein files was just one black male that's out there. You have an entire government, one country, one nation under blackmail. So it's not rare. The Israelis are not the only ones. Remember, the Chinese were the ones with the honeypot things, and they already compromised several congressmen. So the Israelis are far from the only ones. They might be the biggest offenders right now, but they're far from the only ones. It's going to take time to filter those people out. And remember, your government's run by seniority. So the reason when you have laws and stuff, they have to go into, quote, committee. Well, who are the chairman of the committee? Who's in charge of the committees? It has to get out of committee before it gets to go up for a vote or gets passed along the chain to go be available for a vote. So they don't have to buy off the whole government. They just have to have key parts of it. It's going to take time to filter all them old ones out so that you get to that point. Here's the problem. The problem is it would be different if the mathematics were coming together in a favorable way to maintain the status quo. I submit to you it's not. Not on this issue it isn't. Israel does not want a stay of execution. They want this to be the new status quo. And they're a long way from that happening. So what they're doing now is the sloppy, blatant thing. They've gotten desperate and it's just like, screw it. Just bum rush the damn door and let's get as much done as we can, because it's unlikely that we're going to have, our opportunities are not going to get better going forward. The math is now against it.
Mm-hmm. And someone had mentioned earlier that what Russia would do. Now, I know that Iran, right, they share a maritime border via the Caspian Sea with Russia, but you were saying that Russia's bogged down with what's going on in Ukraine.
I'm saying that they're bogged down in Ukraine. I don't know what they're willing to do or what they can do, because you have to imagine that America's thinking that, boy, Russia sure would love to fight a proxy war against us like we're doing with them in Ukraine. I mean, we're not really doing it, but we are. We don't know about it looking. So, boy, it sure would be a shame if Russia decided to flip the script on us now, wouldn't it? So I can't imagine America is not trying to make contingencies against just that kind of nightmare scenario, because that's the nightmare scenario. Russia already has unveiled their hypersonic missiles in Ukraine. Now imagine them arming Iran with those. Your missile-to-missile defense systems become irrelevant at that point. So that's the nightmare scenario. I don't know how willing Russia is to get into it, and I don't know economically how viable they could do it. I guess we're about to find out.
I know that they share a border with Azerbaijan and Armenia, and I don't know what their relations are with those two countries, but I know that North Vietnam was on the border with China, and China extended those weapons to North Vietnam, prolonging that conflict. But I don't know if Russia has that same sort of relationship.
I mean, but remember, America signed bills, brother. We done gave, a couple of $100 billion in aid and weapons to Ukraine. Is Russia willing to do the same thing for Iran? I mean, that's the question. Are they willing to spend $200-300 billion to support Iran, and not even for Iran to win, just to bog us down? If they're willing to do it, then this goes bad quickly. If Russia is like, hey, we got other issues, so sorry for y'all over there, we wish we could make it work, I see this going. Iran's still not going to be defenseless. They won't. However, it would make life a lot easier for Iran if Russia had their back. And anybody in the chat room, China, I mean, it's the same thing for China. Why would China want to get bogged down with Iran? What does Iran have to offer? I mean, Iran's got oil, but then again, China's got access to oil all over the place. So it's not really an oil issue for China. It would have to be something else. Unless Russia and China really just wanted to bog America down someplace. Now that would work. Now there is a scenario where that works for China. If America gets bogged down in Iran, China makes its move on Taiwan. Okay, while y'all over there stuck in that quicksand, let me go pick up Taiwan right quick. And I can see that happening.
I don't think that China, I mean, they would march on Taiwan, but I think that they would prefer not to have military, because Taiwan is a valuable asset and they wouldn't really want to destroy it. But one final point I would like to make is that,
well, they wouldn't destroy Taiwan. They would just do what they did in Hong Kong. They just want to conquer it. I mean, they just want to retake it for the home mainland. So they wouldn't destroy it, no, but they would want to take it back over.
And one final point is that Israel, even though they are purported and they probably do have nuclear weapons, they couldn't, as a last resort, use it against Iran, because wouldn't that be on the doorstep of Russia, and wouldn't that trigger something unspeakable?
Yeah, that's the whole thing right there. You know, there were folks talking about, some people talking about Israel was threatening that they might use nukes in Iran. Okay, let's be clear about exactly what that means. First of all, there are several types of nuclear weapons. There's ballistic, there's tactical, so everything is not necessarily world ending in that regard. In a lot of cases, there may be big booms. They're meant to be destabilizing. So as far as that's concerned, well, no, I don't really think that's an option for exactly what you said right there. That's a zero-sum strategy. Also, remember Pakistan, Turkey, a bunch of them have nukes as well, and they wouldn't take very kindly to that either. That's going off in their neighborhood. So no, they would not take very kindly to that. So I really do think that there's a reason you haven't heard Israel say that, because in reality, that's not on the table. I think it's other people being very scary about that kind of thing. Yes, I know about the Samson option. I've heard about that since I was a child. The bottom line is that Israel did not do all of this so that they could be king of the ashes. That was not why they did this. To anybody who has any misgivings about what quote unquote Israel means to them, once again, let me remind you of your World War II and post-World War II history. There were a number of different sites around the world that the Zionists were targeting to be Israel. The area in the Middle East that's currently occupied and is concordant with biblical history was just one. They were looking in Africa. They were looking in Europe. They were looking in South America. What? Don't believe me? Go research it and look it up for yourselves. The Zionists were actually looking at several sites around the world. Now, while the one they're in now is the preferred one because it coincides with biblical history, that was not the only one they were looking at. They were willing to go somewhere else. So the bottom line is they are not the least bit interested in that. What they want to do is stare down everybody else. Now that's what they want to do. But you've never heard them come out and say they would do such a thing. If they did, the world would have to turn against them, including the U.S. They know full well the American public is not going to support Israel if they say stuff like that. At that point, you've lost the American people across the board. So that's why that's not an option. It isn't. Furthermore, if that really was an option, they wouldn't be putting so much money into their conventional military to begin with. That's a waste of time and money.
And one final point is, I heard that the wild card in that region might be Turkey, and they're not overly enthusiastic about the Israelis. And there had been some saber rattling between those two places. And Turkey, unlike Iran, can really bring the heat.
Well, look, the Western powers, when we talk about divide and conquering, it applies to everyone. Pakistan and Afghanistan are shooting at each other right now. What? For those of you who didn't hear about it, hostilities have broken out between Afghanistan and, if you remember, the Taliban, root word Talib, student, well, they were trained in Pakistan. Well, 40 years later, their students are shooting at the damn teachers and back and forth now. So Pakistan and Afghanistan are officially at war with each other right now, people. With everything else going on, for those of you who might have missed it, and it's kind of easy that you might have missed it, if you didn't hear about it, Pakistan and Afghanistan are fighting and shooting at each other right now as I speak tonight. And they've been doing it now for like a week. Hostilities broke out. Hostilities been breaking out in minor ways, and they just this last week said, man, forget it. It's on. It's all the way on. So that's going on. Then you have the Pakistan-India conflict. Then you have the India-China issue. And what I'm saying is that, do y'all realize how many of these things are going on concurrently right now? So a lot of folks are playing this game of, regional conflicts and things like that. And, Turkey, of course, has been standing off with Pakistan now for a while. So, yeah. And the United States likes that because as long as they're up there sniping at each other, what they're not doing is fighting white supremacy. Now, that's the one thing they're not doing. So, and the U.S. loves making weapons so we can make a profit off the damn thing. So, yeah, as long as they're fighting each other, they're not fighting us. If America can pull it off, and eventually they probably will, you're going to get the second China-Russia conflict. The last one was like a century ago. But if America can pull it off, they'll have China and Russia shooting at each other before it's over. Now that would be the crown jewel right there.
So the United States would side with Israel over Turkey, even though Turkey's part of NATO.
NATO has disagreements on things all the time.
I mean, I'm asking you, do you believe that would be the scenario, that they would side with Israel over Turkey, even though Turkey is...
Well, I mean, side with Israel over Turkey for what exactly? Because the real thing is, what would be the issue?
Well, there's an issue. There's an ongoing issue between Turkey and Israel. I mean, from what I've read in news.
I mean, for some of Israel's shenanigans in the Middle East, I don't think there's anything happening in Turkey that Israel has an issue with. Okay. I don't think there's anything happening in Israel that Turkey has an issue with. Some of Israel's shenanigans in the region, Turkey has a problem with. So, yeah, that goes without saying. And you have a lot of Muslims out there, obviously. So that, I think, plays more of a factor in it than anything else. I just think it would take a lot, because Turkey's got its own issues outside of Israel right now, both internally and in Pakistan and so on and so forth. So Turkey's already got a lot on his plate right now. It really does. Erdogan wasn't supposed to know, don't be messing with us, but there's only so much you can do. The bottom line is nobody has a military budget like the United States. The United States military budget is about to bankrupt us like it did in Russia. So nobody really wants to try to go toe-to-toe to match that, because it ain't very smart. So, no, Turkey's got a lot going on right now. So I just, unless Israel attacked them somehow, the bottom line is I don't think that America made this move because they're guessing. They made this move because back channel, behind doors, closed doors and everything else, they've gotten the assurances from all the folks that Iran thought they had as buddies that they're not going to step in. Okay, if y'all do something to them, we ain't going to get involved. And by the way, have you heard Turkey make a single peep in the last 48 hours?
They could be on the down and low. Who knows?
Okay, well, they ain't on the up and loud. I know that. So Iran needs some niggas to get loud for them right now. They need some folk to get loud. Ain't nobody getting loud for Iran right now. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Iran ain't got a friend in the world. They calling niggas. They texting them. They calling niggas hoes. Hey, can you get a hold of Erdogan, baby? Hey, they bombing us over here. I'm trying to get him, but it says no service out of range. So, yeah, bro, they need some folks to get loud tonight. They really do.
I'm out.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. Yeah, damn all that damn lip service. Don't you see they dropping bombs on us over here? Y'all know how it is. A nigga in jail and he calling up, you have a call from. He don't even say his name. He said, wake that nigga up. Y'all know when that one happens. How many of y'all got that phone call? The dude in jail and called you up and whatnot. He didn't even say his name. He's calling you up. You have a collect call from Cattle Correctional from, man, wake your ass up, nigga. If you wish to accept charges, press 1. You sit there for a moment like, no, do I really want to do this? He locked up and he's in a bad mood, clearly, and he's calling me. I don't know if I really want to call him. And y'all hung out so much, he knows what hours you really home, so... Nigga, it was 8 p.m. I know you there. Oh, bro, I went to go see my auntie. You don't even like that hoe. Hey, man, watch how you talk about my auntie. You don't talk worse about it. Nigga, where you at? So then they call your girlfriends. Hey, tell that nigga I'm calling him. So that's what Iran is right now. They calling up every side chick in Turkey. Hey, wake that nigga up. I've been calling him all night. Wake his ass up. Yeah, I know he's asleep. Wake him up. Get his ass out the bed. They dropping bombs on me over here. Imagine that right there. It's 2-3 days later. He ain't got back to you. It's like, oh no, that ain't no accident. He done left you out there. He done left you out there. I'm sure Iran is figuring it out now. It's like, oh, he ain't being quiet by accident. He done just said, hey, bruh, I ain't got it right now. Hey, man, I need some missiles and some jets. I ain't got it right now. Oh, man, I ain't got it right now. I thought you said we was tight. And if I need anything, call you. Well, nigga, I'm calling. Oh, bro, it's rough on me right now. I got this issue in Pakistan and on the border, and it's a bad time, bro. Can you hang in there for a minute? Let me see what I can do. As soon as you hang up the phone, man, don't call that. Don't tell me about that nigga calling me no more. Don't wake me up no more for that. That wasn't no accident. Yeah. Iran don't need folk on the back channels. Iran need folk front line with a bullhorn. Hands off Iran. They don't need no niggas behind the scenes. They need some niggas front line. All right, we got James here on Zoom. What's on your mind, James? Unmute yourself, bro. Yeah, Iran in Turkey, they looking at the caller ID now. They say when they see Iran on the caller ID, they just letting it go to voicemail. All right, James, what's on your mind?
How do you do, sir? You got me and my mom cracking up here. Yeah, you laughing too. Sir, I have family members, loved ones in the armed services, and this is a very scary moment for us. The primary reason I called is how do we keep our resolve and even increase it? Because the Democrats are already using this as a weapon against the current administration and also for the Republicans.
Well, brother, I mean, we built for this right here. We still hashtag cut the check. We still hashtag I ain't trying to hear it. I mean, this is where we at with it. So I'm observing this. I'm observing the news. We need to be aware of what's going on because, yes, these things do affect us. So we have to be able to navigate in this environment, but that does not mean our priorities are changed. I can observe what's happening, acknowledge what's happening without becoming a part of it or without allowing it to change my agenda. Okay, I see what y'all doing. Do not think you changed the subject for me. Oh, I'm very well aware of it. I'm very knowledgeable of it. I'm keeping tabs on it. Oh, yeah, by the way, where my check? Well, we got bombs and patriots. Yeah. Where my check? Tehran me ass. I need my check. I need that. You want me to be a good little American? Where my paper at? Until then, oh no. No, them Zionists who got y'all into this, they've been about where my check now for 60 years. Yeah, I'm on that time. Right there. I'm on that. They don't care who America friends with, enemies with, or whatever. The Ellison says, wear that bag. I need that. Okay, well, yeah, I need that.
Yes, sir. And before I go, there's a famous phrase that you say, and I think the foundation of Black Americans in particular need to hear this. And it's concerning our condition in general and everyone else's. And I guess you can figure it out, and I can land there.
Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. Yeah, y'all, we ain't on the bull jive. I'm not on the bull jive. Well, here Trump is on my damn phone and whatnot. Well, Jason, it's rough on me over here, and well, we got to go into Iran, man. Cut my check. Well, the national debt cut my check. Oh, hell, World War III. Oh, you better hurry up and cut my check before the bomb drop. You got 20 minutes. It takes 30 minutes for an intercontinental ballistic missile to make it from Russia to America and vice versa. Okay, well, damn it. If World War III about to jump off, you need to hurry up and cut that check. I can direct deposit it. Hurry up and cut this check before the bombs drop so I can hurry up and direct deposit it. I can take a picture. I'm going to sign it and take a picture of it and upload it. How many of y'all got that ability? You can take a photograph. You can take a picture of your check and you sign it and take a picture of it on the front and back and upload it to your bank. Yeah, that's me right there. So yeah, let me get that check right quick. Oh, no, I can upload it on the weekends. I can do it right now. Yeah, I can do it right now. It'll hit. I got the paperwork. I go ahead and make the picture of it. Upload it to the bank. It'll hit right now. Yeah. Yeah, I got some folk in the chat room. Y'all like, yeah, we do the same thing. That's right. I can do them. Hey, Trump, drop the check off. I can take it right now. Yeah, before the bombs drop. Okay, World War III, World War IV, 5, whichever one it is. I need check 1 now. World War III. Okay, I need check 1. Let me go ahead and get that. And after that, y'all can drop all the damn bombs you want. But if World War III getting ready to happen, that's all the more reason for you to hurry your ass up and drop my paper. How else am I going to rebuild? And deal with it. Hey, I need you to hurry up and drop that check. How else am I going to rebuild? Yeah, I'm going to need this money to rebuild after the bombs drop. I'm going to need this money to rebuild that. Jason, where you going to be? I'm going to be in Mark Zuckerberg's bunker. That's where I'm going to be. Oh, trust me, it's going to be like that movie, The Purge. Oh, he going to open up for me. I'm going to be in Mark Zuckerberg's bunker. And just as soon as the dust settled down, I'm like, oh, good. Let me go check my bank account, right? Let me go check Chase Bank. Oh, there it is right there. Okay. All right, my money hit. I'm good. Just as soon as the nuclear winter is over and whatnot, when I'm down here with my canned beans and stuff, okay, this nuclear winter hit. Okay, let me wait till nuclear spring come, and soon as that happens, okay, good. I got my guns, I got my bread over here, I got my money ready. Okay, we starting over from zero. I'm going straight to Buckhead. What? It's going to be a choice between Buckhead and probably Jacksonville. I don't know which one I'm going to. But just as soon as the nuclear winter is over, let me get my guns, let me get some water. I got my check right here. I'm heading straight to either Buckhead or Jacksonville, Florida. One or the other. Y'all going to see a nigga like me at Lenox Mall, like that movie Night of the Comet. For those of you who aren't old enough for the 80s to remember that movie Night of the Comet at the mall, remember the scene at the mall? That's going to be me right there when they were singing Cyndi Lauper's. I'm going to be right there at Lenox Mall just like that. The whole damn mall is empty. I'm sitting up here kicking it with the mannequins. I'm trying not to steal nothing, so I'm going to see if I can open up a cash register and swipe my credit card since now I got a lot more to work with. So let me see if I can at least swipe my credit card here before I go. I ain't trying to steal nothing, but if the machine don't work, I'm like, okay, well, call me back when y'all get y'all selves together. When you get Neiman Marcus's credit card machines back up and going, I'm leaving my number here. Give me a call. I'll patch you up. But till then, I got to get over here to Buckhead and see which one of these mansions I'm going to get. I'm going down to City Hall to make my own documents. So let me go check and go get one of these mansions over here, because there's one at the end of this cul-de-sac I've been looking at for years. I'm like, I don't think they coming back. Yeah, I just see a pile of ashes. I see 4 piles of ashes in the living room. So I'm like, I don't think, I think they gone. Yeah, I think they're gone. I don't think they'll be back. I think they're out of here. So now, I hate to look like one of them people from them squatting, news stories you read about all the times. I hate to be one of them, but I'm like, I think this nigga gone. So let me take down these pictures you got here. This ugly ass silverware you got over here. Who the hell bought this couch? All right, I got to go down to the, the pods people or whatever and go get my own trash dump truck. Hopefully one of my peoples who got a CDL, hopefully one of y'all will make it so I can call y'all up and like, hey, bro, can you grab this truck with the dumpster and drop it off over here? I got to get this ugly couch up out of here, all these pictures and things. They got to go. They got to go. Oh, in the chat room, you said, why Jacksonville? Well, Jacksonville's never been as crowded as some of the other beaches are, although after World War III, I imagine all the beaches will be wide open. Damn! So I might want to go ahead and go down to Daytona. Now that I think about it, you make a very good point. Well, listen, the beaches won't be crowded no more. Not after this, it won't. Assuming, of course, you still got a coastline. But yeah, you make a good point. Hell, the beaches will be wide open. So What am I'm bull jiving around. Why don't I just go down to Miami on Ocean? It's like, everybody gone now. Beaches is wide open now. Miami, Daytona. Got to serve myself, got to serve myself something to drink down there. There's nobody to bring it to me. I got to serve myself. So we'll make it work. We'll make it work. Oh, believe that. Oh, yeah, we're going to pick out our own yachts and everything. Don't you understand? Straight to the marina. Like Tony Soprano on the boat, straight to the marina. There won't be too many of us left there, but I'm just saying, don't go. No, don't do this part. Okay, folks, don't do this part. We don't want to do that right there. It's not okay. Good. Everybody gone straight to the Ferrari dealership.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell
No. We ain't doing that. We are not going to get our reparations after World War III and then go straight to the Lambo dealership. I'm going to get me a yacht and I'm going to get me a Lambo. And no, we're not doing that. No. That's just going to be a formula for World War IV. So, no. No, you don't want a Toyota, damn it. You want an IRA. You want an index fund. That's what you want. Damn a Toyota. You want an ETF. That's what you want. You don't want a Tundra. You want an ETF. No, it's not going to be a bunch of niggas after World War III with 24-inch rims with music bumping down the damn streets and whatnot. I finally got my Charger. No, we ain't doing that. Not at all. The lane is finally open. You going to go grab some assets. You going to go grab some assets. That's what you going to do. I'm going to go grab me a hospital because business is going to be off the damn chain for the next 30 years. I'm going to go pick up a hospital. You talking about some Mad Max stuff? Nigga, damn a gas station. Get a hospital. Finally, some of you nurses, y'all might come out on top. What? Damn! Yeah, some of these nurses might come out on top for a damn change. It's like, baby, look here. Folks need medical care all over the damn places. You might make it. I know one thing. I don't want anybody discussing anything else. I know that. I don't want anybody discussing nothing else with me. So no, the topic of discussion has not changed. The topic of discussion has not changed. Yeah, you all know I've been consistent. COVID, Ukraine. Brother, I ain't changed my tune about anything. I don't give a damn what's happening out there. Break my bread. I'm not supporting anything else. Well, the Iranians might get us. Ooh, you need to hurry up and get my money. On account of the fact I'm not going to support you on a damn thing until you get this good with me. Until you fix this up with me and patch this up with me, we ain't got a damn thing to talk about. That ain't my problem. That's your problem. And if you try to make it my problem, I'm going to make it your problem. But no, I ain't here for nothing else. So the agenda has not changed, not one bit. We ain't changing up nothing. Nothing. They can be mad as they damn well want to be. We are not changing up nothing. So keep your eyes and your ears on this, folks. There are going to be updates coming. I will continue to monitor it throughout the weekend. For those of you who got folk in the military, like I say, if you haven't gotten in touch with them, well, you know what's going on. I guess it's at times like this you say stuff like, I hope this is over quickly. I hope this is over easily. This is all the more reason that we got to get our stuff together, because there is a wicked, evil, demonic group of individuals running the world for the last 1,000 years, and a poor, helpless, impoverished, powerless, foundational black society can't do anything but be their victims. You want a future for us and our children? Then we have got to get our prosperity together, because that's the only thing that's going to stop these monsters. The only thing that will do it. Wishful thinking ain't going to make it happen. It's not going to make it occur. You can dislike it, you can be unhappy with it, but it's not going to stop it. Us getting our money together, our code together, unified together as a group, moving socioeconomically, like these other folk been doing for the last 60, 70 years. That's what will change everything. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here tonight. I want to thank everyone who has contributed for tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out here to Wesley. Thank you very much for your support tonight, Wesley. We appreciate that. To Jerome, thank you very much for your support as well. And to everyone who has contributed for tonight's program, I see you. I believe you. Thank you very much for being with us here. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. Click that subscribe button and that notification bell. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work at blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program live or recorded. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and my sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.